check 1 2.
All right. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. We're going to get underway and we'll get the Asengis Kasamaganan Ketea. So we'll start off with our opening prayer. Kiegama. Willard Harper, our elder. So if we can remove your headgear and we'll have our opening prayer. Come on in, have a seat. First of all, we want to welcome Gakyo Gyo, Tatamskat Na. We want to thank our elder for the prayer. Welcome to the Community Engagement Forum, Infrastructure Projects. This comes from our COO, Matt Harper, Infrastructure Division, along with the rest of the proponents under that org chart. So just a brief housekeeping. Washrooms are located to your right. That's to my left. To your right, feel free to use them. As well, there are projects, proposed projects, and projects that are also on the go to your right. They have some, the one in a big cardboard thing there. That's actually the proposed development for the Riverlands. That's right by Saskatchewan, North Saskatchewan River. And also the smaller one to that little table, that is the existing plan for the multiplex for swimming and what have you. That's been planned for several years now. So they'll be touching on those projects today and briefing you guys on that. So without further ado, for the agenda today, we'll be going through opening prayer, which we've done, introductions. OLCN Lands will be presenting, along with Public Works, Housing, and we also have our engineering partner, Associated Engineering from Saskatoon, that's with us today, and they'll be elaborating more on the projects that they've been helping us with. as well as project presentations to conclude, which is the multiplex, elders facility and lodge, and other projects. Supper will start at 6 o'clock, and so we also request to reserve your questions till after the presentations. So that would be probably after supper time. So with that, I will have Mr. Matt Harper, our COO for infrastructure.
Hello, good evening. Yeah, like Philip said, my name is Matt Harper. I'm the COO for infrastructure. Been in this role since January, and yeah, things are going well. So I guess we'll get into the slides. So the first slide shows our org chart for 25-26. I'm really excited with this new structure as it brings our infrastructure group together so we could work more cohesively. We've got public works, housing, lands, and capital projects. And also under my portfolio is prevention, but tonight is strictly about the infrastructure group. So yeah, it'll kind of help the teams work more cohesively and not in silos. So I guess we could go on to the next slide. So yeah, some benefits to the new structure are reviving the community comprehensive plan. So that, working on that as a team with the infrastructure group, we'll be able to identify short-term needs, short-term priorities, immediate challenges, and work on those together as a team. And then the long-term goals, making sure everything we do aligns and works towards the long-term goals of the community. And then infrastructure design and standards, ensuring that the infrastructure we have are designed for the community with the culture in mind. And then emergency response plans, including that with the team. And then we go on to asset management. So with the team working together, we'll be able to focus more on the creation of maintenance management plans for our assets, for houses or water infrastructure, sewer infrastructure, roads, buildings, getting these plans together so we can follow them and extend the life of our assets, make our investment last as long as we can. Then asset life cycle tracking, so tracking when, like assets don't last forever. They have a life expectancy and then they need to be replaced before they begin to fail. So we got to work together as a team to map that out in the community. And then asset mapping, which is something we've started already in mapping in the community. Go to the next slide. So our infrastructure in Onion Lake at a glance. We're deficient on infrastructure. We need more. We need more houses. We need more buildings for commercial properties. We need more development. Most of our existing infrastructure is aged and will need replacing or upgrading. Following the ISK format for funding, the ISK format for funding for maintenance and replacement is insufficient. There's gaps, there's exclusions. It's not enough to keep things going. Yeah, our growth rate is far exceeding the amount of funding we get from ISK for infrastructure. That's development and maintenance. So we'll go on to the next slide. Just some environmental factors that affect infrastructure. So right now, Canada is facing its own housing and infrastructure crisis. America is engaged in a trade war with Canada. Canada is in the midst of cutting ISK funding and continually deploying mechanisms to alter the treaty relationship with First Nations. So yeah, we see these things on the news and it seems far away, but it does affect us. It does affect our capacity of what we can do in Onion Lake. So yeah, all of these have threats, but there are opportunities that we need to seize out there. So the next slide. So yeah, what does this mean for Onion Lake? Onion Lake needs to be innovative and creative in its pursuit for infrastructure funding. We need to seek alternative funding arrangements. We can't rely on ISC. Their funding doesn't keep pace with our growth. Some of their formulas are from the 90s in their arrangements with us for funding. So, and then we got to look at other ways to finance projects to meet the needs of our community. Onion Lake needs to be efficient and concise with every project it undertakes. We need to ensure maximum benefit to the nation on each project. So that includes jobs, that includes use of local companies, training, and then the end product. There's a lot of different aspects to each project that need to be considered and looked at hard to make sure we're getting the best we can for Onion Lake. And then all of our projects need to align for the long-term objectives of Onion Lake. So yeah, I'll pass the mic to Jake Aaron, our Director for Capital Projects.
Before I go to Jake, I just want to introduce the panel as well up here. So to my far right, we have Elliot Dillon, Director of Lands. We have Public Works Director, Roy Littlewolf. We have what's his name? Oh, Brendan from Associated Engineering. Sorry, Brendan. He misspelled your name up here. And then, of course, we got Terrence Harper, Director of Housing, and Matt, our CEO for Infrastructure, and our good man, Jake, our Director of Capital Projects. All right, there you go, Jake.
Thanks,
and
Phil.
Jaron, our help for the screen and 7th generation.
Thanks, Philip. Thanks for the introduction. Hello, Onion Lake. I'm Jake Aaron. I'm the new Director for Capital Projects. It's a new division in the community. And first off, I'd just like to say this is the best looking audience I've been in front of in quite a while. So you're probably wondering what the new Capital Projects Department is and how it fits into the group. So I can just go over a couple key points here. Project oversight, tendering policy, information management, continuity, communication, and the pursuit of funding will all be in our envelope. Project oversight. To ensure all projects follow the processes and complete the necessary safeguards to protect the interests of the OLCN. We need to have a representative from OLCN more involved in all stages of all projects to look out for OLCN best interests, such as cost control, quality control, ensuring local labor and vendors are utilized, and of course, equal opportunity for our members. Ensure concerns or change orders are addressed, and of course, be on site to identify risks and opportunities. The OCL and tendering policy. This policy needs an agent to help with the policy grow and enhance and reach where it needs to be. The policy needs an enforcement agent ensuring projects completed by outside vendors are done entirely abide by the policy. The policy needs an informed agent to implement the processes involved within it, such as the RFP, that's request for proposal, processes for awarding tenders and dispute resolution. Information management. Keeping our records of the projects completed in the OLCN in such a way that the information can be useful, such as blueprints, costs, risk mitigation efforts, opportunities, and vendor information. Right now, we don't have an adequate system. We will need to be able to draw on the past information to guide the decisions going forward. And just to update that, we have implemented some construction management software. It's a file management system, and we're just in the process of uploading the documents that we currently have, and we will continue moving on in the future. Continuity. We need to have a system in place so that when key members move on, the nation will still be able to progress and build infrastructure in an effective manner. Right now, we are heavily reliant on a few individuals. The processes need to be streamlined and mapped out for future generations to follow and amend as needed. We need to build this foundation for future generations. Communication, my favorite. The new department will take on the tasks of ensuring regular communication to leadership within other departments and membership, communicating to stakeholders and projects as the project progresses, engaging the community regarding employment, vendor pre-qualification, and timelines. The pursuit of funding. The infrastructure group will strive to do the following: identify new funding sources, monitor for new call proposals, seek out opportunities with financial institutions for infrastructure funding, seek out new creative and innovative methods to increase infrastructure. The capital project's role is to alleviate the pressures on the other infrastructure groups and to work to streamline construction activities. I'm guessing that's what it's supposed to say. To allow other infrastructure departments to focus on maintaining the assets under their portfolio. To incorporate the needs of the other departments and the community into infrastructure development. So basically what we're doing is we're taking the major projects from all the other departments and we're putting under one house. Capital projects role. Large-scale renovation projects, building upgrades, residential development such as subdivisions and new homes, new infrastructure development, water, sewer, roads, buildings, and there's also going to be commercial developments under that envelope as well. Now, just to give you guys a brief update on the Highway 17 road construction that's happening there. Now, this isn't a capital project, this is done by the province, but this does impact our community. So what's happening there is the new passing lane project is underway right now between the Saskatchewan and Alberta border as both provinces continue to investing in road safety and infrastructure. The project is a $14.4 million project and you'll see the construction of 5 passing lanes north of Lloyd. Drivers can expect minor delays. I beg to differ, they're kind of major for me at the moment. And the completion schedule is for the summer of 2026. So this road construction annoyance is here to stay, but it will benefit us in the future. The project is jointly funded by Saskatchewan and Alberta, as was included in the province's latest weekly Orange Zone construction update, which outlines highway improvement for projects across Saskatchewan. We want drivers to know that we are working for them and to make our highways safer. That's from our Highways Minister, David Moret. So make sure you slow down in work zones because there's lots of people working there. We want them to get home safe. And now I believe Lands is up, Philip?
We have Lands. Elliot, you have the mic, sir. And again, we'll be reserving questions till after presentations. Thank you.
Testing. It works. Good afternoon, everyone. Elliot Dillon here. I'm 3 months into the Lands Director's position, and all of a sudden, this gets thrown at us, and we didn't have an office, but we since have one. We're at the new Treaty Governance Log Office now. We've occupied that. That's the new Lands Office. So we're based out of there, and we'll go straight to the topic at hand. Projects coming up in the future. Our job basically is with the Lands Department is to prepare the land for projects like this. So that we have to do a lot of work with this team, making sure that this team understands that land is very important. Without the land, really nothing happens, and our treaties are based on this. So the forefront, they gotta introduce the project to us. We'll go out and do whatever we need to do, identifying all land encumbrances. A lot of landholders utilize the land, berry picking, medicines, natugigwe, Scott's burial sites, Minematastig is scattered. We have to look after that, Nagatugya, that all that's taken care of. So not power lines, SAS Power, SaskTel, gas lines especially, that I think we need to concentrate a bit more on marking them, but that's still be done. through GIS and all that stuff we're bringing back. Work with various regulatory stakeholders, meaning stakeholders. Things have changed because we're under the Indian Act. In the past, before any development, bands cannot lease land. So you have to do this process under Section 81 of the Indian Act, and that means doing a land designation. Anilik has done that three times actually. First time was in 1951, oil and gas development, the Gitutak. Back then, the chief and council knew there was something in Onion Lake for resources. So they did a vote and allowed for oil and gas development to happen. So when TLE come into play in 1992-94, we bought land. We bought all that north of the province. So another vote had to be done to designate for oil and gas development so we could lease those sites. So that happened, and then again, when I started in 2007, I noticed they had missed some lands, and we also wanted to start looking into the future for development of businesses, Natugigwe, that could come to the nation because we were growing. So we decided to do another referendum, XP, and that was done through, we also included industrial, commercial, did some future designations. Back then we thought maybe we'll own the river one time in the future, and so we did a designation there, and lo and behold, we bought it 3 years later. So with that, all those designations have now changed. We met with ISC about a month and a half ago. Philip, myself, went there and asked them straight out, we want to go back into this head lease. We want to be able to lease land. And they says, whoa, things have changed, Elliot. You don't need to do that no more. That's good, because that was so cumbersome, trying to develop head lease with them and Natugigwe. But so they said, do your own leasing. Make sure your documentations, legals are legal. They're all legal. Make sure documents are reviewed by legal. They're solid. Yeah, so basically they're just washing their hands from the nation. So their fiduciary responsibility is not there. We get to do that now on our own. So actually that's something, as a land manager, director, I've got to make sure all that is done properly and legal is involved, all the legalities, so the nation's not sued in any way. So that's the, so with that, now, with all this coming, future planning, so we started a community development plan. Actually, it's misworded, Toma. This one's a community development. There was a community comprehensive plan started, and that was done for about a couple of years, but for some reason they had stopped. And as the lands department, we were waiting for the community development plan to come into play, so we could put our future lands to set aside where houses should be, protect the environment, protect the agricultural lands, oil and gas lands. So we did a draft. It's been in draft stage since 2015. So, but now I think everybody's starting to realize, hey, we got to have a plan. We got to start setting the table, that meaning the reserve. We got to make sure that we protect our medicines, our oil and gas development, our agricultural lands, because we only have so much land, and we're all growing. The demographics say I think there's going to be 15,000 of us in 2035. So you need more housing, and so we're going to revamp that. We've got a planner. We're going to start sitting with the project team, because they're the ones who want to develop, and some key players. We'll bring an elder on board, make sure the youth are involved. And then we'll start that here probably within the next 2 weeks, and we'll have a draft completed by February of 2026. So, and make sure all these projects you see on the wall and what's coming, make sure it's a 20-year plan, and make sure it's ratified properly by the community, and work with the community on that. Because, back to regulatory, I talked a little bit about, we got to do our own permitting and leasing of these lands, especially the ones like if you want to bring in a co-op gas station or a co-op grocery store, whatever. Those ones need probably want secured leasing documents, and probably, yeah, those are going to be special kind of leases that need to be done by the nation and the vendor and the lessee. So, yeah. And last thing I want to talk about is Anilek Aisum Kian Aisum, we're an oil-rich band. We did a geology study back in 2022, trying to find where's all our oil. Do we have oil? So we hired a company called McDaniels. So they're geologists, top geologists in the world. So they come and looked at the north and did all these studies. The study was done from the band office straight north Saskatchewan side, nothing south of the band office, just straight north. And lo and behold, they found lots of oil all around the powwow grounds, straight north, all around our SAGD. So we have a lot of oil, so we got to protect that oil. So I'm trying to always say, well, development, kind of keep it to the east. Don't encroach on this, because I think that's the future, and we're generating a lot of revenue from that oil and gas development. So, yeah, I guess that's about all I can say for now. Other than that, we'll be also doing the land rules, because, like I said, if ISC changed, no more Indian Act, and go ahead and do whatever you want permitting. So I think the nation has to develop their own land rules to the nation on how we operate, how we lease out land, how we, like, our younger generation probably want to become farmers, or we have to figure out a way how do we allot land to those individuals. Got to let that happen, you know. So get things moving a little faster and easier for the community members to develop. So I'm done.
Thank you very much, Elliot. Again, going over a little recap, ISK, Indian, which is our new INAC, Indigenous Service Canada. As you mentioned, we sat with them a few weeks back in regards to the new processes. It's not necessarily new processes, it's what other nations have been doing individually. And I think, you know, it's been a hard time coming, and with Indian Affairs, finally getting out of Indian Affairs is probably the best answer. And that's what we got from them when we went and met with them. But individually, though, in terms of, you know, what do we do and how do we prepare, those are some of the items that he captured today. So a community-based plan is essential. Along with that, how do we use that, and how does one get access to that use? So thanks for that, Elliot. Next up, we're going to go to OLCN Public Works.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As you all are aware, my name is Roy Littlewolf, Public Works Director. Within the past few years, we've done a lot of different upgrades within the Public Works Department. I'm just going to use my sanitation department. Last year in July, we had 201 sewer calls just in the month of July. So how do I rectify to make sure these call-ins are actually getting completed? So we got a program called Maintenex. So now we got Maintenex within the system, and it's working. It's working very good for their dispatch, for all our departments. We can actually find out what's actually going on, what was the problem, what's the issue, how do we rectify it, and how do we fix it. So all we're trying to do now is ensure that every time we get a call in, that all these different deficiencies within our nation are actually looked at and followed through, and then I get a report on what's going on and what we can do to improve it. So all our operators and our laborers all have our Maintenex within their phone systems, so anytime they go to the projects or job sites, they can do a work order on what they came across. So I'm just trying to make sure that in the past, with the amount of work orders that we've had, I can't verify, well, I went out there. Well, we can't justify, did he go out there or did he not go out there? So now with the Maintenex within the system, it's working beautiful for our program. We can actually find out what was wrong and what they came across and what they found, so we can get the work orders completed. So this Maintenex is working very well. Also, in the past 2 years of Onion Lake Public Works, we received 6 brand new company vehicles. This year we received 8 new vehicles. So in the last 2 years, we received 14 vehicles. Our vehicles were so deteriorated. I mean, some of the company trucks, you look through the floorboards, you can see the road as you're driving. That was a huge expense to Public Works for repairs through the whole year. So I'm very grateful for my senior men and leadership for supporting us, for getting us these new vehicles for Public Works. We also received 2 brand new graders within the past 2 years. We also got a brand new loader. We also did get 2 brand new skid steers as well. We started a thing last year with the red bins. Red bins is bear proof. We got nothing but issues with bears. We try to rectify the bins. We try to enforce the bins, but the bears still seem to get in there, or dogs. So we went to a different style of a bin, and they're a bear-proof bin, and they're only 4 feet by 4 feet on top. They're a steel bin. They get emptied, I believe, twice a week or once a week. And we got a trucking outfit from Lashburn that comes up and empties these bins. So it's slowly working, and the only bad thing about it is 200 bins cost Public Works $300,000 last year. I still got another 700 bins to go, so this is a slow process to try to get these bins within the community. We also have, now we're installing GPS within all our units. Everything is almost completed on GPS. We're slowly getting tracking system now into our trailers. We had 3 vehicles probably last month, I believe, that were stolen from our community buildings within a month. We found them, but unfortunately they were all totaled. But I mean, now we got tracking capability. All these vehicles within the nation are in our buffer zone, so the moment it leaves our nation, it kind of sets off an alarm. We kind of aware that, hey, we got a vehicle leaving our nation. Why is it leaving? So we can keep a better track on our company vehicles. But we are trying to do our best with Public Works, trying to keep the ditches clean, so we know what it's like with those grass growing really high. The deer gets in the ditch and you can't see them until the last minute. So we're trying to clean up our ditches. We did dust suppressant within the roads to try and control some of that dust. That was a huge expense. That was approximately $280,000 to do 38 kilometers of road. We're painting the lines to keep the lines fairly visible within the highway. That's close to $20,000. But we're trying to constantly keep up. And it's a big demand. We understand we got close to 1,000 units within our nation, and we're doing everything we can to try and keep everything running. And hopefully everybody's noticed the difference in the past 2 years with Public Works. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much, Roy Littlewolf, Public Works. So some good initiatives that have been started. Definitely with the waste program has been successful, along with your new GPS and keeping a line and streamlining your costs, obviously, is number one, because that's a big budget item. Thank you with that. Going to our next director under infrastructure, Onion Lake Cree Nation Housing, Terrence Harper.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank the elder for our opening prayer and to the people that have attended this. First of all, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Terrence Harper. I've been working for the community in housing for 19 years, left for 4 years, and I just recently started back in the director of housing role for a few weeks. So I will start with a bit of information of our organizational chart. Our housing board members consist of our chairman, Mark Woodstone, Dean Wolf, Angela Waskiewicz, Maxine Chief, and Donna McDonald. Without these board members being on the department, they make my role a lot easier, because they are harsh decisions that people have to make in the future of the people living within our nation. So next slide there. So this is just a work plan, I guess, that I developed, and what like I said, I'm just back in a few weeks here, so I'm going to be hitting the last 6 months of the fiscal year, and we have lots of projects going within the community, starting renovations. So the activity plan, using the budget based on whatever allocation that we get yearly. Usually we get $1,097,612 that comes in from ISK, and that money has never changed since 1985. It is a budget, shared budget within that goes within vandalism, fires, repairs, and maintenance of units. Our key deliverables are to renovate any units requiring renovations, health and safety items to be addressed as priority. And the time frame for these will be from present to the end of the fiscal year, which will be March of 2026. So unfortunately, a lot of these units that we need to address will not be addressed, as we do not have any other source of income, rental revenue, or to accommodate these units that require renovations. Another project that the department co-handles at this time. There has been some changes since I left, so this is sort of a co-work thing with capital projects, is the fire insurance. The units that have burnt in the past few years that are now rebuilding. There's a total of 10 units that are being rebuilt, as you probably see, all in throughout the nation. They're currently under construction. Some of them are 50%, some are up to 80%, and hopefully we'll start homing our first family here in the next month or so. Chief and Council obviously had supported with the rebuilds of these 10 units, and I'm glad they're up and going again. Next item, health and safety. You know, we use our budget based on allocation. Again, this is a shared budget with other things that fall within the categories of vandalism, renovations. So what we do is maintain units that require upkeep of health and safety. A lot of Health Canada items come into play, and tenants call in the environmental health officer to address these items. We try to address as much as we can. You know, unfortunately, we can't address all due to limitations, and these are ongoing throughout the year. The other things, new housing. Currently, there's 6 units, what we call them Section 9 to 5 units, which are CMATES units. Each year, there's a new phase, and we are now at phase 35. We're just wrapping those up. They're at 100, well, close to 100%, doing the final inspection. So there are 6 units. These are up in the new subdivision, which phase E. I'll be also starting to work on a work plan for the new allocation for 2026. So getting things prepared for the new fiscal year for phase 36. ISK immediate needs. These are new programs that came into effect in the past few years. These are what I see as extra funding that ISK gives to the nations, and it can be used in different formats of renovations, new houses, or lot servicing. So currently I have many units that are being renovated right now. Got a report here from the project manager. Renovations, there's 30 that have been completed. These are also in phases. The current ones that he's currently working on, there are 30 units in progress, and then another phase here in the next three to 6 months. There'll be another 30 units that he'll be working on to finish off the new fiscal year. And there are a little bit of other side renovations that the board had picked in regards to units that felt the need to be done ASAP. So these will continue. These funds have been allocated for programs that fall under the Indigenous Service Canada, and of course these require reporting every quarterly basis, so it's an ongoing thing. There are funds that come on a yearly basis. There is also a new one that just came in last year, and will come in the next few years. Hopefully, it'll continue for many years, which is the First Nations Child Housing Fund. They call it the First Nations Child Family Service Fund, but it's not, has nothing to do with family services. This is strictly within the housing department. So those are funds that help with renovations where there is a requirement to be done on immediate action on homes that fall within the category with needs of children. Also, we're in the works, subdivision E, process of building subdivision, subdivision F. I guess to provide lot servicing, as our current subdivision is now being filled up. That was first started in 2009, and now we're at 2025, and it's already filled up to 300 lots. So those are other plans that obviously will be talked upon here from our associated engineer rep. So you gotta go back 2 slides. Yeah, right there. So our housing portfolio consists of Section 905 units and ban units. Ban units being considered Section 10 private home ownership, so they fall within that category. So in total, there are 256 CMHC units which have mortgages on reserve, and a total of 748 ban units on reserve. So the total number of ban and CMHC units that we have currently on Onion Lake Cree Nation is 1,004 units. Next slide. So these are the phases I was talking about with CMHC. These are loans that Onion Lake gets to get homes for the needs of the community. These aren't an open number. They're what the province allocates per year. As us being an independent band, we fall within the independent band category, not under the tribal councils. So when meetings like this happen, the main thing is to fight for population-wise, and Onion Lake gets a good chunk of the units that the province allocates. So this past fiscal year wasn't too much. There was only 6 units when, you know, in other years we were lucky to get 20, 30. The highest we got was 58. The only times that we are able to get that kind of number is when other First Nations don't qualify. So just a bit of info. In total, Onion Lake pays $123,000 per month just for our mortgages alone. So that's about $1.5 million a year, depending on the life of the mortgage. Some of them are 25 years. At one point they were 35 years, but those are now obsolete. And I believe some of them are at 15 years. Next stage. So this is just a map, what I was talking about, the subdivision from when it started in 2009. Now we're at E, and that has filled up. But our associated engineer guy here will talk about that. So the current existing projects, which I did talk about, there is 6 units right now that are being under construction on S. They're about 50% complete. They are in subdivision E. These are between 2 companies called Ecoplast and Homes to Go are doing the RTMs, but our local guys are building the basements and finishing them off. Next, the other 6 units are the phase 35, which I just mentioned earlier. They're pretty well complete and just required a final inspection. The other good news, I guess, that Wayne's been bugging me about is here to start our new project. So finally, I did give him the green light earlier. We will be commencing to build another 6 more here in the next couple of weeks, starting into the new subdivision. But that completely fills our current lots now at E. So next slide there. So the current housing situation, issues, I guess, you know, each year we have more and more applications for new housing Onion Lake experiences the problems just like any other nation of overcrowding, tenant responsibility, mold issues, renovations, etc. And with the growing concern of housing infrastructure, we need to identify resources to fund these endeavors. It's essential to the membership for our nation here. For the past 15 plus years, a total of 400 homes were built, which is a huge task for our community and to Chief and Council and also Onion Lake Housing Authority. Even though we built these 400 homes, we are still behind about 500 plus homes. For the past few years, there's been 500 plus applications from members and their families hoping to receive homes. Unfortunately, it's always the luck of the draw. Like this fiscal year, there'll be 18 units in total, and there'll be 18 lucky families. And they range from single people to small families with 1-2 kids to large families with 3+ kids. With over 500 applications and over 1,000 plus homes versus the growth rate in Onion Lake. We're currently at an urgent state of homelessness. Secondly, Onion Lake Cree Nation is only one of a very few First Nations around Saskatchewan that I know of that collect rent from their members, and which is a good thing, and that's how we're able to prosper and build more and more units. So, a lot of people dislike the word rent, but it is very important for us to continue with the building of our units. Without the collection, Onion Lake Cree Nation would not be eligible for new units or any other new housing projects within, like working with Royal Bank. We've also shown with our outstanding financial accountability and transparency with RBC, so they are able to lend money for projects. In ending, I'd like to thank the members of this community who do their part in maintaining their units, respecting the home that they were given, and prolonging the life of their home. To Chief and Council, to senior admin, the board members, and the fellow directors and managers and their staff who work hard for this community to achieve what we have today, and especially to my staff and contractors who put outstanding effort in keeping our department a positive environment and a wonderful place to work, and making everybody's job a little bit less stressful. Hi.
Hi. Thank you very much, Terrence Harper, Director of Housing. A lot was shared, and obviously just want to remind those of you that just joined us, supper will be served at 6. Housekeeping to your right are the washrooms. Feel free to use them. And you do have notepads and pens on the tables just to make some notes for your questions at the end of the presentation. Thank you very much. So with that, we're still on schedule. We're going right to our 505, Associated Engineers. Brendan, you got the mic.
Good evening, everyone. And I work with Associated Engineers, and I have been working in Onion Lake since about 2022 on various infrastructure projects, planning, and working with the project management team to help improve the community as best we can. So I think we're going to start off, and we're going to start with what projects we currently have ongoing in Onion Lake. So the first major one that we are on is the Phase F of the subdivision that Terrence had recently touched on. Currently, that subdivision is at about 60% complete of construction and will ultimately provide 37 new homes. And an alternate access to the northwest side of the subdivision is also being constructed in tandem. That's about a 1.4 kilometer access road, and we're actually expecting to have that road open probably within a month here. So we're hoping that that'll help to improve traffic within the area and reduce traffic flow in the southern portions of the subdivision, and just provide better access to the area. Starting tomorrow, actually, we are going to start working on the sites for the new community youth centers. This is going to be 3 new RTM buildings that are being brought in. We will be locating a new youth center up in the subdivision in the north, as well as in the RC subdivision in the south. These youth centers are going to have programming space, and drop-in center to allow to try and help start providing more amenities to the community's youth and provide more access to supports readily to the people. In the center there, we're also going to be putting up a new prevention office, kind of centralized around where the current SA and treaty governance offices are, trying to build a central office, one-stop shop for as many services as we can to try and limit the amount of traversal that people need when they're trying to access different services. A little list of the current ISC projects. As you can see, and as Matt and Jake have touched on, it is quite short, and this really does speak to the lack of funding that ISC has been providing. Most of these on here also, these are not new construction projects. Most of these are actually maintenance projects, and quite a few of them are actually on hold because ISC has been withholding funding recently. We hope to move forward with things like the lagoon assessments and the lift station upgrades. These have been identified to be limiting factors to continuing growth. So we're hoping that we can kind of move forward and get the funding to actually move these projects forward. But this is definitely serving to be kind of a limiting factor in our development. And we did actually receive funding from the federal government through an alternate program to conduct a rural transit feasibility study. So this has just started. We've just started the initial phases on our end. And the ultimate goal of this project is going to be to develop a report and a potential plan for the implementation of a rural transit system within the community. We're looking at different potential options, including local transit as well as transit to and from Lloyd, and seeing what those kind of systems could look like. As of right now, we are currently planning to host more community engagement in early October of this year. And the ultimate outcome of this project is going to be, we'll have an idea of what could a rural transit solution look like for the community, and what can we put in to help community members get around and stay connected within the community. So over the winter, we did submit several funding applications, not just through ISC, but we're looking at alternate funding applications through the Active Transportation Fund, as well as the Canadian Housing and Infrastructure Fund. So under the Housing and Infrastructure Fund, we applied for 4 projects totaling about $45 million. So we are looking at the decentralized water system. So as Roy has mentioned, you guys have had some serious issues with the septic tanks. And we're looking to hopefully get funding to look at doing a full assessment of all the community septic tanks and replacement of, we're assuming as of right now, about 60% could need replacement. So we applied for that replacement funding as well as part of that. Roy also touched on the garbage collection system. We did apply to the Canadian Housing and Infrastructure Fund to fund that replacement. And we applied for funding for F&G as well. And through the Active Transportation Fund, we actually applied for 4 separate projects that are part of a broader whole project called the Community Connectiveness Initiative. It would be a phased project, developing walkways that go from Chief Taylor School to Saskascooch School, south to the RC subdivision, looping back around to the west and coming back up to the band office, as well as the Nespadinac walkways. So if that one is approved, we will be, again, we'll be looking to get more engagement from the community on where those pathways ultimately will go and what those need to look like in order to better serve the community. And then also through ISC, CHRT 41, which is the Human Rights Tribunal, that's under Jordan's principle. We have 3 active applications in with them. So we're looking at a brand new child and family services building. We're looking at the potential development of reunification homes within the community, as well as a more permanent youth facility to supplant the temporary facilities we are currently building. So now for the fun part, the future projects. So we're looking to get as much community engagement and feedback on these potential projects. We're about to go through quite the list here, but the variation here is we need to get a better sense from the community as to what you would actually like to see built. Some of these projects that you're about to see are in the concept phase and just very early designs. Some have achieved detailed design and just have never moved forward. So we'd like to bring everything and put it all on the table to get community feedback as to what you would like to see within the community and what you would like to see pursued further into the future as we continue to build Onion Lake. So first we'll kind of talk about our 4 parks that we have. So in the back there, we actually have the big images printed and they're hung on the walls. So the first one here, this is the subdivision park. It would be located just north of the existing spray park within the northern subdivision. It would have a tumbling hill, local pathways, and 2 soccer pitches. And we'd also be looking at potentially doing some upgrades to the spray park, like adding like a child play park or something as part of that. So this was this is a little bit more advanced than a concept, but that is the first of 4 parks that we'll talk about. Churchill Park, this is located just to the east of the daycare on Churchill Hill. This would be a sledding hill, an engineered sledding hill. We'd be looking at developing pathways and walkways up the hill that would enable easier snow clearing to allow children to walk up better, as well as a smaller tumbling hill and skating rink down on the bottom of the hill. Monument Park, located right in front of K.O. Watson School. We currently have the White Buffalo as well as the new monument that went up there last year. And we have done some of the drainage works on this one, as well as installed the culverts where the pathways would ultimately go. But this would primarily be a walking and show park located right as you enter into the community. And it would also come with an amphitheater and central stage right in front of K.O. Watson School that you could have little presentations, and it would provide a really good space for the children to gather. And RC Park, this one is very early concept, but this is located right near RC Lake, just down the hill from the current RC, right down the hill from Cardinal's gas station. This is another more walking park and just developing walkways and kind of bike lanes down in that area so that people can enjoy that beautiful view over that lake. The pool. So last year the pool went to tender in December. It did not come back nearly as good as we would have liked. So we're potentially looking at an alternate location for this building and potentially doing a redesign of the way the building is laid out to enable that we can still keep the construction within budget and still deliver a pool to the community before the funding timeline on that one runs out. The big thing here is we're looking at a new site. The original site that was identified incurred excessive extra costs on the foundation, and they really limited the amount of building we could get for our money. So now we're looking at an alternative site to ensure we can still deliver the pool that Onion Lake deserves for that investment. The courthouse is another major project that this one is still in early concept phase, but we are looking at trying to find a location for it, and this seems to be one that the community is looking to expedite somewhat. This building would be a major first step in enabling local Onion Lake Police Force to be developed and enabling the people to have their own native justice program. The food hub was looked at, and we applied to Agri-Foods Canada. Unfortunately, they did not come. They were not able to fund any portions of this project. But the food hub would consist of a community kitchen and teaching kitchen where we could host teaching lessons on how to cook, as well as using it as a commercial kitchen for developing programs such as Meals on Wheels for the delivery of food to elders and different members of the community. As part of this is looking at the production of food. So greenhouses and open air gardens would be attached to this facility, and this would help ensure food security for Onion Lake residents. We looked at 2 different locations, one up in the subdivision and one down here by the round hall, just back here actually. But obviously we're still waiting on funding for this to go to a more detailed design and also community feedback as to where we actually really do want to put this building. And there's a kind of an idea of the layout of the building that we would be looking to build. So now so as Terrence mentioned, we're getting very close to being completely full up in the subdivision up the hill. And works have begun looking at where we could potentially look at placing the new and next 300 lot subdivision. If you look behind you on the other side from where all the buildings are drawn, there is a map showing the current 4 locations that are being considered, as well as a much larger print of the central subdivision, which is the most advanced of the 4 concepts. We're really interested in getting community feedback on these locations as well as the layout of these subdivisions. We've heard from the community that there have been some concerns with the way the subdivision up the hill is. So we're working on doing some after action upgrades such as sidewalks, garbage bin pads, potentially fencing yards, or adding commercial lots to the subdivision up the hill. But with this new one, we want to get that engagement in early, where, you know, we do consider that, yes, we do need to ensure that there is commercial land available for the development of a store within a development of this size to provide those amenities to the people living in that area. We're also looking at including park space inherently into the design so that it is actually a key portion of the development when it's going. So that's a key portion of the development when it's going, so that everyone can, that the parks do get built and they are there for the community. So the real question today is, what do you, Onion Lake, want to see? Are we looking at more cultural buildings, new care homes, or potentially new elders lodges? Please put in your comments, your suggestions in the comment box there. Let us know what you want to see to help make Onion Lake a better community. And we will be here to answer questions once supper is served and we've all had something to eat. That is all. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you very much, panel, for your presentations today from lands, public works, housing, and obviously our engineering partners, Associated Engineering. Just to remind everybody, this is being aired live, as well as it will be on 7th Generation's files. So for those of you that may have missed the first part, feel free to go on to Facebook and go to 7th Gen, and it'll all be there. I know there's some key information that may be pertinent to your questions as well that were discussed in that first part. We have a prayer for the food? Or no, it's not here yet? Okay, we'll just go ahead then through the Q&A. But before we go to the Q&A, we'll have a 5-minute smoke break, or a health break. Sorry. 5-minute health break, and then we'll move ahead with Q&A.
I wish they'd fix that speaker when you put off though. I know, take out ask the young speakers. Oh, never change it now. Oh. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, we got a bunch of door prizes to be given away. So with those little pieces of pads, notepads that you got in front of you, put your name on it, tear a piece, and bring it to the 7th Generation booth So, and that'll give you an opportunity to win some great prizes that are getting ready here. We got a big vac, shop vac. We got solar light by, hey. Great, I'll flip off. Okay, yes, good to see you. We got a full yard setup. So get your name, and we have a Canadian Tire gift card to give away. We also have a Home Depot gift card to give away. We have Staples, and then we got some really cool prizes. JBL Go 4. It's a waterproof speaker. And then we have some cool headsets. Sony, a Sony WH Channel 520, and another one, black and white actually. Then we got the big shop vacuum. So this will come in handy. Okay. Just bring your name to the booth, 7 Gen booth, and they'll collect your names. Okay, kakoy matsi tana, no? While the food is getting prepared, make your way back in. We want to thank Matt for the flute. We're going to make some couple draws right away for some nice prizes. We got a whole bunch. So let's see. We got a first aid kit. We got a, what is this? Cool and Smart bag. And it's got a cup in it. Then we got another cool purse with a cup. We got a Swiss bag as well. So several various lunch bags, some thermoses, and again you got Monopoly, game board, Scrabble, a Roku remote. Man, I need one. We also have the cloth gaming mouse pad and 2 mouses to give away. We'd like to thank all our sponsors today: Public Works, Housing, Lands Department, and Associated Engineering. And of course, Onion Lake Cree Nation. There are beverages to your left if you'd like water, coffee, tea. We have Jaron going around with the box. So put your name in the box and we'll get some draws going. The suggestion box that was referred to earlier is actually located by the kitchen. If we can get that box positioned somewhere, that'd be a little bit better. All right, we're going to give away 4 door prizes, and then we'll carry on with the show. For the number 1 prize right here, Monopoly. Ooh, Monopoly. The winner, Rodney Harper. Come and grab your prize. Rodney Harper, you got yourself. Congratulations. You'll be buying up property. Rodney. Sorry, Ron. Well, we got you on the list. There you go. Thank you. You'll just be buying property left and right once he's done. Okay, next prize. Dwayne Cardinal. What's going on? This is from the same table. And he gets himself Scrabble. Congratulations there, sir. Can I get your ID, please? Need to confirm. Somebody used invisible ink. We don't have the tools. 3rd door prize. Vanessa. That's really uncanny. All 3 of them winners came from the same table. Everybody move to that table. And you won yourself a Roku Express 4K. I don't know what it does, but tell us. All right, last door prize, and we got a bunch more anyway, but we'll do that after, during supper. What's that? Anne Stonechild? Anne Stonechild. Yee-hoo! And you got yourself a cloth gaming mouse pad. There you go. Congratulations. You betcha. Okay. If you haven't filled out your name, just do so, and 7 Gen will have your box, a box available. Okay. Okay. Can we have our mic guys ready with the mics, please? I think there's several up here. So whoever from 7 Gen, can you please come up and grab your mics as we go through Q&A. Our panel is up and ready. And also just to mention, in terms of the community forum this evening, it was planned by our C-suite, which is a chief operating officers that had senior meetings in terms of how we wanted to start discussing our portfolios, I guess you could say. And don't take this as, you know, the one last announcements before election. We know election's coming up. So this was already pre-planned. And we just want you to take it as it is. It is a presentation, and there are ideas that we are taking today, and also any questions pertaining to the presentations that were done today. So with that, Q&A is open. Anybody that wants to have any questions, please raise your hand, open skeg, and we'll get the mic to you. We have our mic people that are out there. Okay. The people in the Facebook world will need the mic. All right, thank you.
Okay, it's not necessarily, see, I'm so loud. It's not necessarily, necessarily a question. It's just a comment, and well, some comments. Ito magaw sa Tuskian, and my first language is Cree, so I'm gonna use it a little here. Kahit kauza Tuskiano ma nihiyok sa matun nina ni Tuskata ma ego minayam stay manewit sa Tuske mago kaya keteyak ego mstahan he at Simona. We carry a lot of their stories in our office. We have a small office at the Gift of Language. we're quite limited. So when seventh generation opened up, we were so excited because we were able to use their recording equipment. We were inviting elders into their recording studio. I actually have some now that I'm going to be recording some teachers, and I haven't actually talked to seventh gen yet, but I want to bring them into the schools as we record. We're losing our language, and we have to really take our language speakers and we have to, I guess, keep our words. We have to keep our words. So I was very excited when I saw that interpretive center and the museum because we have so much that we could store in there. It'll be like a keeping house. In our office, we have a Bachelor of Archaeology that works there, and she does a lot of our research, and she's creating a database right now. But once we create that database now, where is it gonna go? I was telling her, you know what, we need to get a grant, and we can purchase a couple sea cans and maybe create a little keeping house in there. But right now we're just working out of our office. She has her own little corner. We have some artifacts in our possession, and we can gather up so much more if we had a space. So that's my first comment, my first request. The second one, because I work and I have another bigger job as a board member for housing. Just to talk about our elders. And I'm gonna say, you know, I'm getting into that age too, and I worry about myself because I don't want my kids to go and leave me with my sisters who are all older than me. My kids are expecting my sisters to keep me. That's funny. They told me, you're gonna leave you with Auntie Iris when I'm too old. Anyway, I think about elders care homes and about a small elders community where we can have, you know, the 1 or 2 bedroom units in a circle and have a meeting space in the middle. You know, I envision that for our elders, and somewhere to be where we can have the 24-hour care. Yes, I know I have big dreams, but that's what I envision for our elders, because it is a lot. And the home that we have now is, we're short. We're always short on beds. The elders lodge that we have now, yes, it's there, but it's like that home has been there for about 30 years. So we really need upgrades. But those 2 things are really close to my heart. They're my elders and my language, and our language and our history, I guess. Not our history, but it's our story, our stories. And those are what I hold close to my heart, and those are what I see, I want to see in part of our huge vision here in Onion Lake. And I'm grateful that I see all of these plans out here. They look beautiful. And I was getting so excited when I saw that 3D model. I was like, wow, that would be awesome. For something for my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren to see. But ninanaskom mon, stay nanaskom tinaga piatoskata mego tagigwe. Ay hi.
Hi. Thank you very much, Donna. Tapopoga, we've taken your notes. Obviously, an interpretive center should be a priority in terms of keeping our language. That's duly noted. And as well as part of our elders care home plan that's forthcoming, there is going to be discussions more so that'll be coming when we get closer to putting the package together. And you're right, there has to be certain level independent living as well to be allowed, because we send our elders off reserve. And that's always been a cumbersome process for those that are currently going through that. So that is a part of the plan in terms of a 24-hour care and a certain level of care. And that does require medical expertise to be on those sites, just like our accredited detox center. which is really commendable that the nation moved forward with that. So thank you for those comments. The next question, Roseanne La Liberty Harper.
Done, sir. That's good. I was thinking we need to have a treaty assembly, a treaty building, an assembly, and we could put our museum in it. We could put a lot of things in there. We could work with that because we're in the middle of a crisis almost with the treaties, and people are looking at us with treaty alliances and all that stuff. We were supposed to have a treaty assembly a few years back, and it failed because we needed houses more, they said at that time. Now it's wish list time, so yeah, we want to see a treaty assembly.
Great, thank you very much. And again, that has been brought up again. In terms of the previous building, obviously there was a $10 million request to build that at the time, but it fell through because there was such a desire and a need for housing demands, renovations, and as well, when you listen to Terrence making that note, but definitely a treaty assembly. As you're well aware, changes are forthcoming pretty quick from the federal government. ISK funding, we don't even know how that's going to be impacted. We should know within 30 to 60 days what kind of numbers we're going to be looking at. And again, what type of cutbacks are they doing? For those of you that have been aware with broadcasts since spring, in April, the new Prime Minister, Carney, had announced that they were going to pursue further cutbacks, addition to the 9% that was discussed back in 2024 under Trudeau. So if you're pushing that, that number is going to be about 15%, which equals to a number of about $16 billion. And how is that going to be addressed? Those are things where leadership at a high level need to be cognizant to and keeping their pulse on the finger, your finger on the pulse, so to speak, because that is very important for our leadership to know what's forthcoming and how do we prepare. Because if we get blown away with a major cutbacks, and Onion Lake's very proactive. And in listening to budgets from the previous meetings, we're addressing those needs internally with own source funding. But again, federal government have an obligation, and that obligation is through our treaty rights. So that's important, and a treaty assembly obviously is an ideal thing for the community, again, to start looking at. Thank you for that, Roseanne. Next question. Oh, Grant, that's right. Grant Whitstone, you got the floor.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Thank you for that presentation this afternoon. I just want to add to what Roseanne was talking about. I'm sitting with Elder Willard Harper, a very knowledgeable person in our community. And what he just mentioned to me, I just want to share with you the people that are in the hall, but also the people that are working on these future projects, if that's what you want to call them. Willard was just telling me here, and I know this because I was part of this very important ceremony that was done at the top of the hill in regards to the Treaty 6 building. You have to remember these practices that have been taught and continue to do as who we are as Indian people. This is our way of life. Willard was just saying to me that the old people mention when you do a ceremony at a specific land site, you have to continue doing that where you chose. Wait, kikawi no ski itagaut naskein. Ektampuko katuta mekiwe osam. A pipe was lifted at that place. Sweet grass was put on the ground. Print was hung there on a tree. And there was elders that were involved in this whole ceremony. And he just mentioned to me that please let them know and remind them, which is you guys that are sitting in all these capital projects, when you move forward and pick sites of all these things that you're trying to build, for example, that beautiful display over there, don't forget who we are. You have to ask Mother Earth to lend us this land to use for the purpose of our people. That's what Elder Willard Harper is reminding you, the people that are presenting this document. He said, me, along with all the elders that have passed on, always mention this, including my good friend, he said, late Peter Chief. These are the words that he always told and said. And now he's reiterating all this information. So keep that in mind, that this is important. What my sister was talking about and my niece are just a small fraction of what Elder Willard is just mentioned. Okay? So, very important to know. And for future, I think it's very important when you have your project team meetings, you bring an elder in for advice on some of these locations. Because as Willard was saying, a lot of these locations in our community are sacred ground. Okay? Very powerful word, sacred ground. So you have to understand and know the protocol when it comes to working with Mother Earth. Kikawi no aski. So I just wanted to make mention to what my niece Willard was talking about. Now, on a couple other things, Chairman, I wanted to make mention. Lands, I want to talk about lands, for example. I know, Elliot, you just came on board, but one of the things that we see in our community, again, is all these different dumping sites all over our community, right? Sometimes, and Willard was just, again, mentioning there's a lot of different dumping sites all over. I know at one time, a couple years ago, they were picking up all the steel and also the washers and dryers and all that stuff. What are we going to do to keep that back to its natural state? That's one question, right? I know Philip talked about Indigenous Service Canada did put in some money to clean up some of those sites, but that shouldn't be only for 1 year. That should be a continuous project every year where we have to continue cleaning these sites, right? That's very important. Second, you talk about the new development on this side of the river. And I want to go back to lands. That is still not land reserve status. So how long is that going to take in the future before that even happens, when we're still not even reserve status north of our community? And yet you're talking about infrastructure south of our community. It's been well over 15 years or more since we've been trying to get reserve status for all these other locations, and yet we're on a standstill. So that's another question that I wanted to ask. I want to go to housing now. Antigua, you showed us the new housing locations. I didn't quite see where your new subdivision is going to be for the next town site project. All I seen was a map. I didn't see a location of where it's going to be. Now, I heard a month ago that the new subdivisions up north are going to be stopped. You're not going to build any more up north because it's getting closer to the cultural and the hunting sites and the oil leases. So that's just what I heard, but I need more clarification from you guys sitting up front. If that's the case, I see a map of a new housing subdivision, but I don't see where it's going to be. That was, maybe I missed it, I don't know, Chairman, but that's something that I wanted to ask. The other thing I wanted to ask about the project team, Nipi, water, very important resource in our nation. One of the most very important elements of who we are when it comes to Kagawi Noa Ski. IPC is taking more water than what they should at the river reservoir. Somebody needs to investigate that, because what's happening is they're taking more water than that they should with their steaming, and guess what's happening? When we turn on the pumps to provide water for our housing, the water flow and also it's less. And that was one of the most important concerns we had when IPC built their water reservoirs beside Onion Lake Cree Nations. That's why IPC was supposed to build at the Hudrite section, but that was stopped. Why? Because of finances. They couldn't afford a pipeline from the Hudrites all the way on the other side of Onion Lake to go across to the thermal. And you know what? I can guarantee you it was probably the municipality that played a big role on this, because they knew that they didn't want to lose their water. But get who's paying the price now? We are. Somebody has to take this seriously into consideration, especially if you're talking about infrastructure, subdivision, all this stuff. Yes, our resources come from the oil, but guess what they're taking away? The most important resource in our community, which is water. Okay? Now, moving forward, I asked a question about, you had a little questionnaire, what are the most important things that you'd like to see? Well, we did this survey years ago, right? One was roads, one was housing, and we accommodated those. We've already taken care of those. And I want to go back to what my sister was talking about. I do believe we need to start taking care of the old people. Last week we had an elders gathering in Onion Lake, and the old people are concerned that they're not being taken care of. The Elders Care Home is one of the oldest buildings in our community. We need a new Elders Care Home. Alongside of it should be an Elders Home Care, level 4. I ask this question all the time. How can a municipality or a town can achieve this, building these things, but yet we can't? That's a question that I often ask in myself. But yet we are an accredited health facility in the nation, but yet we cannot build a new Elders Lodge with a home care facility level 4. But yet we want to build a $1 I'm thinking a $1 billion project across over here. That's just a number I'm using, Chairman. How about an integrated health facility? That's important. Mr. Jimmy has been talking about that for years. I think maybe that should be considered as one of the priorities in your infrastructures. And most importantly, another thing that I want to ask is, when you talk about a community plan, and I know where this is all coming from. This is based on a community plan that we did in Calgary about 4 years ago. That's where all this is coming from, and it's moving forward. I'm glad we're thinking about 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now. That's good. What I don't see is the financial projected cost of all this infrastructure, that you have a beautiful display around the hall. But you know this, and I know this, and the people know this. Those beautiful papers that you see that are hanging on there, they're not cheap. Okay? It costs money to develop those drawings. It costs money to develop those types of engineering and stuff. So at the end of the day, I'd like to know, what is the overall financial projected money it's going to cost to build all that infrastructure? 2, I know it's in the community plan, but what kind of stages is it going to be in the community plan? Okay? It's good to put everything on the wall and say, this is what I'm going to do. When are you going to do it? Tomorrow? You're not going to build that in one day. And the last thing is, who is going to pay for all these infrastructure? Because that's the first thing that people are going to ask. Is it coming from my money, or is it coming from another resource, or is it coming from a banking institute? Are we going to ask for a loan based on our oil revenue? Very important information, because I guarantee you this, if you start building and you go to the bank and start borrowing money based on our natural resources, the people have to know. So, Chairman, these are just a few questions that came across my mind when you guys were doing your presentation. All good stuff. Do not take me wrong. But I can tell you this. I will not see this in my lifetime. All this infrastructure. And that's what some of the old people are talking about. We're not going to see this in our lifetime, but it's important to know all these different questions. Thank you very much.
Hi, hi. Hi, hi. Hello. Hello. Here we go. Sorry about that. Hi, Grant. Thank you very much. Just making some highlights in terms of your questions and your points, and then I'll refer to our departments. You indicated in terms of the dumping sites, and dumping sites, how are they monitored? Actually, no, let's go back a bit. In terms of actual sites, project sites, you have indicated that we need to institute a protocol process, get elders involved. If there's a site that's been selected, that's how it should be moved. And you're right, going back to the treaty assembly, there was a ceremony behind RCMP where our, what are those units up there called? Transition units. So that was actually a location that was first identified, a ceremony was held there. So, you know, if you look at now 10 years ahead, there's probably a reason why that the other one fell through. So that needs to be reconsidered in making any further or future projects to identify elders and their involvement in that. So duly noted. The other one, dumping sites, monitoring that. So I'll refer to lands or Matt. Okay, okay, go ahead, Matt.
Okay. Yeah, just to go back a bit on the first comment about protocol, that's good to hear. We need to hear that to make sure we're incorporating that into everything we do. And I appreciate that. That's why we're here, to get that feedback, to help guide us on where we develop, how we develop, make sure we're doing it the right way, right? So that's really good. Dumping sites cleanup. You said it was done in the past as a one-time thing, but it should be an ongoing thing, and that's something we will note, and yeah, we can do that, yeah.
Even to monitor, like to have a monitoring process with lands department.
Yeah, so Lands is hiring a senior environmental monitor, so that will assist with this, identifying these sites, and we will monitor them. Yeah, we'll put that into our plans, because that's what we're here to. We're here to gather information to put into our plan, so that we can do that. Now, speaking on the new development at the river, the status of the land, maybe this is something Elliot can
go ahead, Elliot.
speak on.
You can pass the mic down, the guys. Just sorry to wake you up.
The river property, I was just showing Roy, I don't know if you can see this, there's about 100 different steps to reserve creation. Like, you got to follow every step. So we've actually got the last document in for that river property, the Saskatchewan side, for ISK to almost get it ready to a distance to reserve BCR. We've got a couple of BCRs sitting there, Chief and Council, that have been tabled. Two properties are ready to go to reserve status, so we're waiting for those. So after this last document's done, and we sent it in, and then once council signs that, it's to do with freehold owner, surface access. So once that's done, that property can almost go into the reserve status stage. Could happen before Christmas if we get the documents in. So, but what just happened recently, we advertised for a TLE coordinator to handle all this reserve creation process. That individual, I think today, I was told, was ratified. So that individual will start on Monday and push everything to reserve creation. So that's going to go hard from starting next week. So, and waste management grant, Matt, we are decommissioning a waste management site at the waste management area. I don't know which one, what number is that cell? The original cell is being decommissioned right now. Working with Matt, they've identified Fowler Lake has a dump ground too. That's on the works to be cleaned up as well. Just recently, I drove around the TLE lands and I found a huge garbage dump. So I got that already cleaned up. A local band member cleaned it up for us. So we are looking. I think last year, I believe I heard somebody say there was INAC funding to clean up some sites. I know behind my place there was a site and that's been cleaned up. So I know that's probably be ongoing. It has to be, and just I think we just need to inform people. Try not to dump, use the dump yards, the dump site. So.
Okay, thank you very much. Going up to also some other points you made: housing, location, new subdivision. You guys want to answer that? Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah. So, like Terrence had said, subdivision, the Alphabet subdivision in the north is filling up. We're currently completing the construction of subdivision F, where we'll have 37 additional lots, but we need to look in the future. So there is a map at the rear of the building with some concepts of future proposed subdivisions. So that's part of this engagement. We need to find out where where our members believe we should build. We need our membership to guide us on this, because we have to do a lot of preliminary work, soil testing to make sure that it's a suitable place for a subdivision. So that's where we're at right now. We're in the engagement stage of deciding where this future subdivision will go, and then wherever it goes, we need to include services. We want to include commercial lots, make sure things are walking distance. And that Brendan went over it a bit with the current subdivision, that we're looking to retrofit it, looking to put some commercial lots, some stores, some businesses up there, walking paths, more amenities. So as we move forward with this future development, we want to make sure we plan ahead of time so these things are already there. So yeah, there are maps at the back, Grant, with some locations, but we're open. Our ears are open to ideas, yeah, and we'll investigate them. Yeah, the question about water, I know I heard this years ago regarding our water wells at the river having issues, and so so we got the wells assessed, and our wells needed to be acidized. They needed to be cleaned and revitalized. So we got that done. We submitted a capital project, we got it done. Now our wells are operating sufficiently. They're up to par. So I haven't heard anything lately regarding our wells not operating up to par or having any issues, but it's something I'll definitely look into. Yeah.
And I think just to add to that, with IPC as well, we should be looking into that, and I made a note. We are sitting with IPC in terms of the next phase of an agreement. What type of water in terms of water usage, because obviously that river is shared with many other municipalities, many other communities across the length of this river. And as part of our usage as well, there was a really comprehensive report that was done several years ago. We can dig that up, and even more so do another assessment and see how those current wells are working for the community, and how IPC is also taking on that same area, because there's specific wells, and these are aquifer wells, so they're situated right on the bank of the north of the river, and they dig to a certain depth, and then they let that literally develop in terms of the aquifer from the river. So we're not actually getting the water from the river, it's from the aquifer that's coming along with it. And so that process, you get the raw water, it gets sent up to our plant up here, and I know maybe Roy can explain a little bit more in terms of how that works and what type of requirements do we need for water, because I know certain times of the year it does require a bit more treatment because of the products that are coming through the river, through spring runoffs and stuff like that. So it's always a really good thing to keep in mind where we're getting our water from. But you're right, we made a point, and if there's anything else to add to that, go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, just another note on water. With our future plan development, we are getting our water plant capacity assessed with Associated Engineering to make sure it can handle 300 homes, make sure it can handle these future buildings. So yeah, just another note on water. And then one other item that Grant touched on was, how are we paying for this development? Yeah, these nice pictures on the wall, right? So some of these projects are funded through ISC, and some are projects where we need to seek funding. Like how did Lloyd just build the Synovus hub? We need to get that direction from membership and then focus on it and make it happen. Yeah, like I said in the introduction, we need to be innovative and creative in finding funding. Yeah, we can't be idle and rely on ISC. We have to go out, find new funding sources, and do what we can to make it happen. Yeah.
So to add to that as well, in terms of projects, we sat with Enoch Corporation Economic Development Corporation several weeks back, and they shared with us literally how they developed their properties, right from the original casino to all the other things that they're doing right around. And so we have another meeting coming up, and they're sharing this information with us freely, because I think they've kind of captured a very good process that's streamlined to develop on First Nation reserve. Mind you, when you look at fee simple land, and this is something that Elliot and I were talking about with Indian Affairs, how do we develop land that we own on reserve? On reserve, it's much more cumbersome to facilitate funding from bankers or lenders, because it's really hard to guarantee their money that they've given us. And that's why head leases were created, and head leases would be 30 years as long as a Crown's lease, which is sometimes 99 years. So I'm glad that process is kind of moving away, but it doesn't mean that we need to, it's a free-for-all. No, we have to be just as stringent in terms of our lease agreements for the nation. And that's why I think with the Iskungan law and that process will be essential in how we develop our land. So going back to Grant's comment, and how do we package this? If you look at that, I'll use Enoch as an example in terms of how they're doing it. They have a master plan, and that master plan identifies all these different types of projects and identifies the costs and the phases that they're currently in. So yes, you're absolutely right. And this process today, it's a first of many to come. We're obviously taking, this is a first time in terms of the department and engaging with the community. You're going to see this from the other COOs as well. So moving further in terms of project development, it's really important that we engage with community, and membership are also giving the green light to do that. Leadership definitely are the main proponents in bringing projects to the table and even seeking external funding. So at a high level, they're just as important as you guys here as well. So with that, just going back to, I think we captured all your points, integrated health facility. Last item, that was brought up in terms of a C-suite meeting, and Albert has ultimately been looking at this project for years, and so we're going to be engaging that as well. And I think it's important because we did plan one. I'm not sure, for those of you that remember, there was one that was going to be planned right by the arena east, and it fell through, obviously, because there was funding issues, there's government arrangements, and sometimes that can also be an obstacle, is dealing with government. Because you're going to build a $50+ million hospital, pretty much a little hospital, you got to ensure the funding is going to be there to operate it. And let alone Onion Lake, yes, we have 5,000 people here. It's like a small town. But we also have surrounding communities. And I know our nations, our members, First Nations primarily, have been having issues at hospitals in the surrounding areas. And that's, you know, that's pretty out there. You see it on daily activities. People talk about their experiences. So this is something that keeps coming back, and I think that will be a priority as well, along with the Elders Care Home. Okay, but ultimately, go ahead, Terrence.
I just wanted to do a couple comments on, I guess, regards to the subdivision there. So back in between 2005, 2008, when the oil revenues started coming in and band meetings were happening quite often, there was a vote. That's how these subdivisions came into play. There was homes, majority was homes, renovations were voted on. To have paved roads was voted on, which I totally was against. Water, that was, so with that, with the homes that were discussed, of course, Onion Lake needed a place to build a bunch of these homes, so that's where these 15, we had the 10-year, 20-year plans, and that's where this first subdivision came into play, which was the 300-lot subdivision. But the way ISK policy is it's the way Sesame Street is built. And we try to refrain from that. So that's ISK policies on how they do their subdivisions. And of course, ISK was willing to fund all these subdivisions because we were growing as a nation, we were going to build, we were getting so many CMHC units. But at that time, Chief and Council did not agree with building another Sesame Street because of all the social issues and whatnot that were coming upon. So what Onion Lake had to do there, and that's where some of these funds had come into play, is, okay, we had an agreement with ISK, and that was splitting 50-50. So 50% they'd fund, and 50% Onion Lake would fund to have the lots the way they are now. Otherwise, they'd be, if most of you have been up in the North subdivision, there'd be a home in between each current home. That was the original allocations, but because of Onion Lake's contribution, that's how we got to be with these subdivisions. And, you know, and looking at the reality between the cost efficiency versus building here, building there, anywhere on the reserve, it was the, I guess, the financial way to go, cost efficient wise, because right now we're able to build a home about 250,000, 275 as is. But if we were to build here and there, all over the reserve can be up to 300,000, 350,000 plus based on the infrastructure and the way the power is right now. I had projects in the past that I had worked with where they were allowed to build elsewhere. Some power were about 25, 35,000. That's just the power alone. So at that time, that's where Chief and Council were leaning to that way, and that's where we are at. I guess just I don't know too much about this, but it's something to look into. I know where you're talking about with the health facilities and how it's built in the Munio area, I guess, in towns and whatnot. They have a thing called P3, they call it, which is like a public-private partnership, they call it. And that's just contracts between the government and private entities to deliver infrastructure over a long period of time, just like hospitals, schools, roads. But that's like anywhere from 20, 25 to 50 plus years. So, you know, these partnerships, they leverage that money, the capital, for design, the building, the finance and operation to maintain these projects. But that's very limited to what I know on that, but that's how I know those things work.
Great, thank you very much, Terrence. We're gonna actually, who's hungry? Okay, we're gonna go to one last question, and then we're gonna break for supper, and then we're gonna come back. We're here till 8, guys, so we got a lot of time. We're gonna, Ron, one last question, then we'll go to supper break.
Yeah, testing. Yeah, just a comment on facilitators. Yeah, a suggestion on facilitators. A comment on BCR, kind of like a logistic on future building. And I'm glad we are on the concept phase of these construction integrated, right? First of all, BCRs. They are legal documents, as we all know. We cannot move forward until a BCR has been developed by the Chief and Council. Why I'm mentioning this is I worked for the band in 88, 89, 90, Recreation Department, and this is important. Back then, the department I worked with thought it was important to secure residential school lands for the future development of recreation programs. So what we done back then was we secured the ACC school lands and the RC school lands for future development of recreation programs. Now we all know, and I just mentioned that BCRs are a legal document. can't move forward until you get approval by BCR. So back then, we secured the ACC lands and the residential school lands. So further, maybe a couple of years later, I was approached to see if I can break the BCR for commercial development. Well, gosh, there was pressure, and yes, okay, I will agree to commercial development, providing that they commit to recreation. Now, those establishments came up and they are prospering, but how much have they provided to recreation? Why I say this is, there's an expansion coming up. Did the Chief and Council approve for expansion at the Cardinal Gas Bar? Was there any BCR approved for expansion? Because I am concerned that you all know that the impacts of residential schools. We live with it every day, and it's ongoing. Back then, we decided, well, let's give it to the Recreation Department, these lands, and it was approved by BCR. Now I think we have really forgotten a legacy here, and I think it's important that we regain those lands back. I only say that because we're building, and we're building, and we're building, and something that I think we're forgetting is maybe safety. Look at our roads. We're really over consuming our roads. How many buses do we have? You see them in the yard over there? Between 7 and 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, we had the volume of traffic, especially on 17. And how much have we thought about safety and where we're going to be putting these buildings? Like I said, I'm glad we're at the concept phase because we need to talk about safety. But going back to the BCRs, they're a legal document, and I think it's important that we have some control of expansion, because I've kind of asked, well, what's the expansion of this building? Well, I didn't get an answer. It's for the store, but what authority do they have to expand as a business? And what concern do we have? Because I have a concern because I had to agree to break that BCR to accept commercial business to come. Now, over the years, the residential school yard has been expanding to housing development. So I think a lot of times we only think inside the box, and I see that we are thinking beyond the reservation. We seem to be, well, we are confined. We're an Indian reservation. We're put here for a reason because they wanted the land. We're a growing community, but we're always thinking inside the box. We're not thinking beyond our borders or beyond, greater ideas. Because we have a lot of potential north side of the river. We have lands there. How much, like healthcare services. When you build a business, it's all about, I'll say it 3 times, location, location, location. You want the best spot. So, we got to consider, and I'm glad that we're consulting. And one of the comments that I wanted to make is, for the facilitators, next time I'm rather than kamunyawe pingya. Imunyawe pingeo mamapume wasaka mepia. Muigwapum tunano, ogochinyega ni poyan. Kakyo no te piksquata kog, ewapamake kakyo. So, that's just a suggestion. So, in regards to the BCRs, I'm glad that we're in a concept phase because before concepts, 3D assembly, kimachitano, kikuchitano, without consultation, yosita chiknawe, that 3D assembly has been bulldozed. That's a failure without consultation. And that's the band monies there. What did it cost? I really don't want to know. It's sad. But I'm glad we're at the concept phase. I give credit to the people that want to consult with the people because accountability is right here. And I think we'd like to move forward and be greater participants to the community. Because everyone that's on the reserve here, hakimit sunya ogamigoya. And that's one portion of revenues that come in. But we also have own source revenue. That is money that's coming from the resources and any economic enterprise that we do have, kasunyagia, mamo sunya owana. So yes, it's important to consult, and I'm really glad that we are at a phase of concept, and the ideas of the people are going to the planners. And a lot of consideration is going to be taken to the consultation that's happening right here. So, yes, those are my comments.
Hi, thank you very much, Ron. Definitely some really good points. We've made notes, just talking to Matt regarding the issue with the South residential school area. I know there's an expansion there that I've seen as well from the store. That's Harry Kim's store. He's making reference to that. So I think that's something that we should be looking into, just in terms of how that happened. And so without further ado, also the BCR process, not forgetting that, and traffic, and of course location. And this is why obviously these meetings are going to be more often, especially for projects. And we want to thank Jake Ryan, our new director of capital projects. It was him that basically said, look, let's get out there and see what the people are thinking as we move forward with our development. So with that being said, Asegi Skisamwanan Getea, Pauline, if we can, Mrs. Muskego, sorry, have prayers for the food. I know Blair's been texting me, it's like every 2 minutes, and he's sitting right by the food too. Just looking real like this. Just kidding, brother. All right, with that, we'll just be quiet and then have our prayer. Pardon me? Blair, can you lead the elders? Just kidding. And then we're going to do some door prizes again because we got a whole bunch to give away here. And then we'll wrap up after supper with more Q&A. We are scheduled till 8, so we'll get you guys back home in time. We got some new door prizes that were announced to us. 2 Oiler tickets are going to be going out tonight. So if you haven't put your name in the box yet, for those that have come in, put your name on that piece of paper on the table, or come to our guys over here at 7 Gen, and you will be eligible for the Oiler tickets. And we also have 4 golf passes added to the list of door prizes. So those, I think we'll leave those for our last 2 prizes, and everybody can qualify for that. So if you've won a door prize, we'll put that back into the box for you anyway for the final 2. I think everybody deserves to go to the Rogers. Tim said. I apologize. If I would have known KFC was on the menu, I would have had supper 30 minutes ago. Alrighty. Let's get 4 quick draws. We're going to make 4 quick door prize draws. We have, I think we got a bunch more to give away here.
Let me check that box real quick.
Okay. If you haven't put your name in the box by 7 Gen, we're taking names. And if you did win earlier, your name will be put back for the final 2 prizes, which are 4 golf passes valued at $360. And the last grand prize will be 2 Oiler tickets.
What's the game?
The game is the final game at the end of the season. Just kidding. I don't know. You got to make that. You got to make the call. All right, Teresa Wolf. Teresa Wolf, come on up. You got yourself a nice lunch bag. Okay, another one. Here you go. Welcome.
Thank you.
No problem. Congratulations, Teresa Wolf. Next door prize. Maryland Chief, Auntie, come on up. Right here. She here? Oh, there she is. Your ID mean Matissa. We gotta see Matissa. We don't. New bingo bag too. Okay, couple more. Grant Senior. Grant Senior. Senior. Right here. Is this the one? Congrats. Get some nice Swiss bag, boy. Oh. What's in here? Oh, full of goodies. Congrats, Grant. Ishas. Speech? Yeah. Davis Thomas. Davis Thomas. Oh, let's see. Young fella. Put that over here. Congrats, Davis. That, and no, actually, here. There's a cup. Is there, yeah, this one. Or does that go with that one? There you go. First aid kit and a coffee mug. Congrats. Last one we'll give out, and then we'll do the final prizes here. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the last 2. Pauline Muskego. What is this? I don't know what this is. Oh, it is a lamp. It's a lamp. Yes. Congrats. Oh, she had to go to Bible studies, so. Redraw? Redraw? Must be here. Yes, okay, because my son was texting me, wanted me to add his name on there all the way from Pepixis, so I told him, no. Okay, Dunlop. Dunlop. Here you go. No, you get back, like everybody that's been drawn, your name goes back in for the, congrats. Put that by your side of the bed, you know, when it's 4 in the morning, time to take your meds. Just knows. I'm already there. Okay, that concludes for our door prize. We'll go to our Q&A. And then we'll try and wrap up as soon as we get our Q&As done, and then we'll do the rest of the draws. Alrighty, our mic guys, can you get ready? Eat over there. I don't want people watching. Okay, we'll open the floor. The floor is open, and there's still lots of chicken left, guys. There's like, I went and did a little check. It's probably about 3-4 buckets left in that cooler. Right, Blair? No wonder why Blair was just itching. He was literally smelling that chicken as it was. And also a little plug for Gray Buffalo Solar. They are providing, if you need your garage lighted up or your yard lighted up or your horses lighted up, anything like that nature, even surveillance cameras, get in touch with Gray Buffalo. That's Blair Dillon, owner, operator. Very reasonable prices. Payment plans, there's even KFC plans. Just kidding. Guarantee. With that, open the floor. Anybody have any questions? I know you guys are. Timmy. You want to donate a prize? Supplies. Yep. Rodney, let's go to Rodney.
When you talk about infrastructure, we should have an infrastructure for us to be self-reliant for our food. We can have cattle, our own butcher house, pig farm, we have pork, and we can feed ourselves if we just set it up. Our land is here, everything is here. You just need to make a fence or a barn, and that's it. I think that we should look into something that we can feed ourselves, even a giant chicken house or something.
Hi. Thank you very much, Rod. Actually, that is a very good point. Assembly of First Nations that just happened here last week. We were watching it, and there was a very strong support in regards to food sovereignty, food security. As you're well aware, First Nation communities, there's a high levels of no income, and they can't afford the existing prices right now. Even to get meat, it's at its highest price for beef. Even in creating a fish farm would be a really good idea. Meat packing. So those items, in terms of the meat packing, I think it was on the docket with Onion Lake Group of Companies, and there was a feasibility that was attached to that, so that could be resurrected again and considered. So we made a note on that. But definitely, in terms of food sovereignty and securing our own source is very vital for the future. Anybody else want to comment on that from the panel? Go ahead, Brandon. Where's the mic?
We have been looking at a food hub for the community as well. That it would consist of greenhouses and working on programs to teach people on gardening practices and processes like that. Another portion of that was the community cooking teaching initiatives, as well as a central commercial kitchen for the community to host programs out of. So that is a project that we have been exploring avenues of funding through Agri-Foods Canada on.
Thank you very much, Brendan. Next question. You guys want to get to the door prizes? I think everybody, okay, we got one question. Carol. Then we'll do a door prize and let you guys kind of digest the food a bit and probably have a question later. Go ahead.
Good evening. I'd like to speak on behalf of the emergency services within the nation of Onion Lake here. I'm the emergency management coordinator for Onion Lake. And what I'm requesting, since it's a wish list, a building for the emergency management itself. Currently, right now, we're stationed within the fire hall, and my assistant and I, we're in a little office. We're sharing a little office. We have our equipment in there with us, so we just have like a little pathway to our desks. I had things written down here. What I'm requesting for is that Emergency Operations Center is what it's called. When there was, when there's an emergency or a disaster within our nation, my assistant and I were and the emergency response team, we always end up having to look for a place to where we can meet, have our meetings, and when the emergency is going on, it's pretty hard trying to get hold of people. We end up going to the council chambers. We got kind of pushed out of there. We end up going to the old round hall, and then we kind of were told we couldn't use that. Then we ended up going to, when we get the communiplex. That's when it's not being utilized. We were kind of looking in here, actually, just for this treaty gathering that we had in case there was evacuation or something that needed to take place. We were going to utilize this place for the reception center where people would come and write their names down and register, if anything occurs. I'm going to talk a little about that Harlan fire. We went from the site of the fire at Harlan, and then we ended up going to look for another place where we can station ourselves and have our meetings and our gatherings, where we can send email. We needed Wi-Fi. So we ended up going to the sports grounds. We stayed at the sports grounds for roughly a week to 2 weeks. Then we were told to stay there to utilize it as an office. What I've noticed, though, within the nation here of Onion Lake, I'm also going to talk on behalf of the fire hall. As you know, you stated that we are a small town, but the population we have. When you look at Lloydminster, they have fire halls situated on the Alberta side, on the Saskatchewan side, on the outskirts. They even have one inside of Lloydminster itself. And as for a nation here with our fire hall being situated way out on the south side, response time. These guys, they're responding as fast as they could, being courtesy to the other people on the road. But it's really, what I've discovered and what I've noticed is that within our nation here of Onion Lake, and I'm sorry to say this, but we put the emergency services on the back burner. The emergency departments are on the back burner. When something does occur within the nation where we have to meet, like a disaster emergency, Harlan fire example, that's when everybody jumps up and basically steps in and starts, trying to do what they could. With the emergency department that we have, it started in 2019, so it is still a new department, new program. And it's really been trying. It really has been trying, developing the program itself to fit the nation of Onion Lake, but also going and meeting with other communities, other First Nation departments. I had approached Chief and Council when it did start up, and they told me go nation to nation. So that's what we have been doing, but we're situated way out on the south side. So the response time and seeing how many houses are up on Molson Hill right now, that's why we had demanded for an exit route. Because if something occurred up there, they would have been stuck. That's why we went and requested for a road to go out, another exit. And that exit is not enough. We need something on the east side of those houses. So keep that in mind when you guys do have the infrastructures going up. Make sure there's exit routes for our people. Because basically, we're playing with our people's lives here. And it's always on the back burner. So what I request, keep that in mind, is when you do these infrastructures, make sure there's exit routes for them. But also, I'm requesting for a building for the emergency management itself. We're all crammed up into that little fire hall with all those trucks there, and we're all crammed up in that little building. So we do need something up on Molson Hill as a fire hall. I heard that was in the works. I don't know how far that got. And we do need something on the east side also. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carol. And for all the work that you guys are doing in your department, we give you kudos because you guys do a lot. And I understand frustration of having a location. So to shed some light, definitely there was a big fire that came across Onion Lake here during the summer. And if that would have crossed over onto our main area on the east side, that could have caused some major havoc, major damage. So to mitigate these things, I know the leadership looked at this past spring, and they started a fire, what do you call that? A fire guard, right, just north of here. And I think that was completed by Beretta. It's been finished. So that was one mitigation effort that leadership had looked and considered with everything that's been going on up north with all the fires, definitely. In terms of a new fire department, even a new security department, that's in the works. And you've highlighted, obviously, the North Subdivision is such a, it's very prioritized now because there's so many people in that area. And I think hence even with the development of a new area, because we can't have all our development in one area, because they're going to come across situations which she just described. If there was an emergency of some sort, it's only one way out currently. So there is efforts in place already to create different roadways coming out of the North Subdivision. So once we start developing the new subdivision, wherever the central area is going to be, mind you, that will be coming from Elliott's department that's working on the community-based plan, and that will be mentioned earlier again. So with that, we thank you for your comments, Carol, and duly noted from our team here. Ms. Harper.
Hello. I'd like to add to Carol's comments. There also would be nice to have water source out on the east end of the reserve. Our fire trucks have to run all the way back to the housing area or Cardinal store area just to get water. We do have Public Works help a lot, and we do appreciate that, but it would be very helpful for them to also for faster respond time with the water. That's all.
Thank you. Definitely that's been noted, and you're absolutely right. There needs to be another facility to, like a water pump house perhaps, to deal with fires on the east, because yeah, there's definitely a lot of bush in the area. Thank you, Jennifer, for that. We'll go to the next question.
Dance, good evening. First, I want to say thank you to the cooks for the delicious supper. Hi, that was so yummy.
Hi, yes. Thank you.
Okay, I know these items were brought up, and they probably are in the works, and that's for the food security, the the Maslow's hierarchy are of course food, clothing, shelter. And I hope that those will be looked at prior to any creation of large infrastructure. We do have big issues on those. But one of the things that I always feel is really missing is dealing with animals and strays. It'd be nice if we had a vet clinic, an animal shelter, because we have such a huge problem with stray animals. And it's not only dogs and cats, but we also have horses that are out there hungry. And so it'd be nice to look at our animals as well. The second one, and this ties in with so many of our social issues, and that's the drugs and the alcohol addictions. And it'd be really great if we had a place to go, like a sexual assault center on the reserve here. The nearest place to go to is in Lloydminster. I think when you start dealing with personal issues of sexual abuse, I'm sure that we can start healing. And so that is one of the things I would like to see, is a sexual assault center, maybe a home for battered women, an emergency place where they don't have to leave the reserve, or there's something here in place for them. And it's not only women, men are being abused just as well. Okay, and so those are some of the things I would like to see. Hi.
Thank you very much, Ruth, for your comments. I'll go to Matt to respond.
Hey, so just one comment to go along with the animals and the strays. So we, in partnership with our social development department, they have just completed a program in which they're constructing a Seacan animal shelter. So that's going to be delivered within the next 2 weeks. We're looking for a location right now for that center. And so yeah, that is something that's coming down the pipe, yeah.
Sorry, I was just came across a Facebook where one of our, I will say, elders is going to be short on feeding his animals due to the rain and everything. Like, is there a pasture, or is there a place where community can buy feed in bales for these animals? Because now she's resorting to fundraising through Facebook just to get the animals fed.
I'm not aware of one, but I can look into it. Or Philip might have some more info on that.
So there's been just, I remember back that there was land that were going to be identified for stray animals that can be held. I know within the Indian Act process, we can do that. It's just a matter of identifying the department and also the manpower in how that would work out, because a lot of, and I know this from experience, a lot of individuals that have stock, sometimes, feed is so expensive for one thing, And I know we've been supplementing our stockholders here in the community for many years, and that's not going to get any easier because feed is getting pricier again. So that being said, there needs to be some alternative ways that we can provide that service, and that's something we can probably look at from the lands department and seeing what avenues, what resources that we can tap into from our vendors to assist in feed. Even start looking at developing our own feeding program by seeding grass and creating our own bales. So that's also been an option. We've been doing that. But I think if, Elliot, you want to add anything to that? Thanks.
Yes, we do have a bale program where we sell bales at less than market value. I think this year we're selling them for $50. We've got them stored at the Buffalo Farm. So on Wednesdays we're going to have a poster out. Wednesdays is when you come to the log office, lands office, pay for your bales, and then pick them up right away. Wednesdays only. That's the only time because we have to have we can't be doing it weekends, and so it'll be Wednesdays. It's available now. We're already selling bales. So. As for the stray animals, yeah, it's always been a concern. It's always been, my guys, we don't have the ability to do bylaws now because of the Indian Act has been kind of, Indian ISC has kind of washed their hands from that enforcement-wise. So over the summer, over the winter, we're developing our land laws, and part of that is essential is for our stray animals, horses and cattle too, all of it. So we're going to develop some kind of process, and we're going to have to really look at that close and how we're going to handle that problem because it's dangerous. And we talked about perimeter fencing or whatever. But we'll have something in place by February of next year.
Thank you for that, Elliot. Any other questions? Go ahead. We'll go to Auntie June.
Hi. I have the mic right
now.
now.
I didn't even see you. Okay, so Ivy. Sister Ivy, you're up next, and then we'll go to June and then Donna. Go ahead.
Nista Ivy Sigaswani kwa Ukichitasko Kanihia Wikaso. Ekumota, I'm a berry picker, Kaitue. And we pick roots and herbs. I'm a person that will be out there picking roots and herbs. And my thoughts are, where are we going to be when it comes to digging up our roots and herbs and we're not locating them and keeping them safe from anyone to come in and bulldoze and destroy what we have. We have cows coming in, being kept in the areas where destroying our root picking area, berry picking spots. The other thing, I was raised by Onion Lake, the lake itself. We went picking sweetgrass there, and we come across the trail we know as the old Battleford Trail. So there's a trail that comes across from Hubert Patagon's, I think, and comes along by late Dan Chiefs, by my son's house, Don. Ektuchanta, where we grew up, Nistanan, and it goes across to Willard Harper's, an old trail. So we parked there, we stopped there, and we're picking sweetgrass there, revitalizing who we are. That's probably hundreds of years old, that trail. And if we want to revitalize who we are, we should consider that trail. We have many of our young people who have nowhere to go. Many of our young people who are bored with they're doing their alcohol and drugs. We know that. They're hidden out there. If we really want to revitalize who we are, we're forgetting the human part of our people. Kiapits. So atskispain, if we're building buildings, katiktimak swaku kay sinwa kutaga kiapits. While the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. We're not trying to help the ones we see. One person come and ask me, hey, do you have a holy rosary? A person, but I guess I'm not a Roman Catholic. And but this person was only wanting to save himself. They don't want to be stuck in this drug world. Who wants to be stuck being a druggie? We have to help them out. And if we're not going to help create employment or anything for the people, and I guess the other thing that bugs me is that house on the Alberta side, if we as a nation can't even help stop our people, Apuchi, we're going to allow continuation of that house to keep sitting there, making it a resource for Chamak Swakatok Tamaks Chigay Walk. We have many overdoses on Onion Lake Cree Nation alone. Within this past year, we probably, I don't even know, we were told traditionally not to count. But I think there's been so many deaths in our community because our people are in denial of drug use. And we're hoping that where how can we help one another? Look at that whole thing over there in the box, Kaitwe. Thinking in the box, it is in a box. The cost of it, nobody ever asked us, hey, can we spend this much? Even the color of those nice buses we have, who's paying for all those? Treatment for our people, we kick about Lily Lake. We kick about treatment centers. Is that our denial? Imanawi Chitaya, the human poverty we're having here. We love KFC. Maskuchana, how many people are hungry? We're talking about feeding animals. What about our people? Those are the things that I wonder about. The old Battleford Trail, I love the thought, I grew up there. I am 66 years old, pension. I am semi-retired, Kaitwe. Who wants to hire me now? Not too many. Egomi na Kaitwe, old sports grounds. You compare that ball diamond there was a lively ball diamond. You compare it to the new one that was made up the hill over there. Does anybody really go play ball up the hill over there? We know nobody hardly goes there. The places that are traditionally, they bring memories, hundreds of years. Canada Day was at the old sports diamonds where the bus shop is now. But there's a spot, it seems like the north of the bus shop, where people, maybe that's where the museum should be. Revitalize that area. Not with big buildings. Make it back in the day type of a thing. Kasagi taya, our medicine, our sweetgrass, our sage, kidnehiao noma, kanihiao yamin eguama. Pass on our teachings. That's what I'd like to see, what I'd like to leave behind for the people, for my people. That's my concern. How can we, there is a traditional medicine way we can help people stop their addictions, treatment. Why can't somebody bring that up? We will never be munyawak. No matter how much we try, your skin will never turn. And if we value that, well, what about who we are as First Nation people? Who we are as the people. This is our Mother Earth. I like being native. I like being Nehio. And I talk more better. It's in my heart. My heart and soul. Let's figure out native ways. Let's get that old Battleford Trail revitalized. Let our people know there's history there. Because I did a 4-day I was by that trail for 4 days, no food, no water, in a little teepee. And every night I heard songs, Inihiyong kamuchik, Inihiyong kamo, Pichiwai Nekamo. And on the last day, I asked, well, who came and sang here? Ito ana, because I thought I heard people singing all the time, Nehiyong kamuchik at night. But the people told me nobody came and sang. So there is a livelihood there, spiritual livelihood. We need to keep those things alive, honor them. I really like what Willard said, Wepinasuna. That's our spirit of intent, Kaituimana. Exa, hi.
Hi, Nimis. Tapuem stege mamskuten, you're absolutely right. Tapopogo. So we made notes in terms of the traditional, the old Battleford Trail. That's something that we can bring back, and even as on top of that with the informative center, that would be a combination of that. So there's a lot of synergies here, obviously, and when we've taken your notes, and I know the demographics of our community is very young. Like you've mentioned, you know, the ages, under the age of 35 to 15, that's majority of our population. So we need to be cognizant and proactive. So with that, I'll go to Elder June.
But I've been listening at why there's a lot of good ideas, and this is really good omuta where people can share their concerns. A larger retail outlet, kind of like a variety store, something like, say, Giant Tiger. You know, they sell all sorts of affordable things like groceries. They're not bad. I mean, clothing and little things like that. I think maybe, you know, a franchise of Giant Tiger would be ideal. Another thing is to have, I guess what you call a butcher shop. There's a lot of hunters, and where do they take their, whatever it is they killed, you know, they take them outside the reserve man. But if we had a butcher shop, you know, they can get their, how do you say it, yeah, they can get them processed with whatever
Thank you very much, Tapupogo. A variety, just to diversify our retail, we made a note of that, such as a Giant Tiger. Ideally, with a community this size, we should be able to sustain that. So that's good. And also a butcher shop, like I mentioned before, it was planned at the, but I think now we can resurrect that project. As you're aware, a lot of our prices have gone up for beef, and we do have buffalo. And with that being said, there's lots of options there as well to provide. Our main staple back as it was 100 and some years ago was buffalo. So I think that'd be real good healthy meat as well because it's pretty lean. But yeah, definitely we made notes of those. So hi.
Yeah, we need healthier food. Suddenly you walk into the stores, you're bombarded by junk food, and that's no good for our people.
Chips.
No wonder there's a lot of people that are diabetic. We're killing our own people by consuming all this junk food.
Absolutely right. Okay, Elliot, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I just want to note that two of my staff we talk snamax Erwin Skeenem is just Masnegi he take a full time as our bison caretaker. We got Richard Stanley. They're going to be going out to 3 days of Xnamatzik how to create an economic opportunity for buffalo, bison. Like, what are they doing out there to create revenue for the community on bison? Because we're just going to grow these bison we need to create something, an economic opportunity to do it for the reserve. Maybe it's a butcher shop, yeah. Whatever they come back with, we'll certainly look at and share with the community. And on top of that, too, is cattle. I mean, over the winter, we're going to start looking at maybe a work plan and maybe developing a ranch scaw, like the old Triple O, and start, because we have a lot of band land. I think that what I'm hearing, the community is interested in that type of activity. So we are looking into that. I just want to answer IV. I'd inquired, I would say, medicines and not to give traditional uses on the land. Those, we are going to be discussing and with the elders, got some medicines. We got a GIS. We just posted a position, a map maker. We have a senior environmental monitor that we're hiring. And identify where are the uses that the community goes and protect those sites. So, we've always been concerned about the cattle coming in and destroying our medicine. So we're quite aware of that. And over the winter, we will be developing something to kind of minimize that as best we can. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll go to Donna, our last question, and we're going to actually do a bunch of door prizes, and that will conclude our evening. So Donna, go ahead. Oh, then actually we have one after Donna. We do have one final presentation and announcement that we've allowed to be made here today. So go ahead, Donna.
Okay, so just to solve two problems, the cattle coming in to tramp on the medicines, let's just butcher those cattle.
There you go.
Good idea. Anyway, tipianan those trailers south of the arena. So 2 years ago, there was a few students, 18-year-olds that were in grade 12 at the high school here. They were homeless. They didn't want to go home because of things happening in the home. They were couch surfing. And at the time, I just began as a board member with housing and that we need a space for our young people that are homeless. And those came in, but they're still sitting there. And we have so many that are homeless, so many single people in need of homes. Like just, last week I was counting, out of the list of 50, there was 18 single people that required shelter, a home. and they lived with family members. So, and then I look at those trailers and I think, what is going on with these? So, can you answer that one? It's a question. What is going on with those buildings?
Okay, I can just update everybody here. So we do have a plan currently in place for those units. We are mobilizing people that are in transition from detox to family transition homes. That unit is going to be situated to deal with that. We're just getting everything set up. I think there's an office that's going to be moved there. Has it been moved there yet? It's a renovation. And then those are for the south units. The top to hill, those trailers are managed by wellness, and it's primarily dealing with people that are going through this, obviously, addictions, and this becomes a difficult situation because we are dealing again with humans, and sometimes they don't respond to what's required to be in certain locations. And by allowing activities to continue, you're defeating the purpose of having that location. So sometimes we have individuals that come and abuse the process, and that can't be had, right? Because we're continually to throw there's damages to the trailers. People are now scared or fearful. Our workers are at risk. So there's always issues to deal with that. And I know the wellness team have been mitigating all those challenges. Because it is most of these are families, and it's really difficult to do that. But we definitely do have an opening, and those transitional homes will be available. If you see anybody in terms of needing a shelter, please provide them to contact either our office at the BAN office, and we can guide them to our community wellness team. The community wellness team has been pretty prevalent in terms of helping emergent situations like that. And obviously, if there's high school students and students that need a place, we can probably look toward helping that situation. But again, you do not want to put people at risk, because those environments are sometimes volatile, and we know from the reports that we've been getting. So, but definitely it is a concern, and we've made a note for a shelter. And I know Ruth had mentioned that as well earlier.
Yeah, so. And it's just those, the high school students, they are sober.
Yeah.
So we don't want them.
No, we don't want that.
So that's another issue we're having, because they're adult age now.
Right.
They're not under CFS, but they are adult age.
So we got to make sure they don't fall through the cracks. Okay. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we'll make a point, and I'll share that as well to our colleagues. I know they have different portfolios. Elaine Carter is the Chief Operating Officer for Health Services. So we'll make a note of that in terms of the need. We'll go to Roseanne.
Okay, just another comment that June made. Can you just let everybody know that they're in need of donations, the transition trailers?
Yep. Okay. So those of you out there, Facebook world and our departments, our transition homes are in need of donations. Fall season's coming up, and you know what comes after winter. Go ahead, Roseanne.
I'd like to thank my co-workers for donating 2 pairs of used shoes to 2 boys that I deal with every day. It's an unfortunate situation, but welfare, I end up being trustee, and I take them to town, buy their groceries. They don't have enough for shoes. So those poor walkers out there do need shoes, size 10, 11, 12. Thanks.
Okay, you got that, folks, size 10, 11, 12 as well out there in the cloud with 7 Gen. With that, we're going to go to Ron. quickly, and then we'll wrap up with a bunch of door prizes. So don't go away here. We're going to give away some fabulous prizes. Remember, you got to be here to claim it. So with that, very important, before I got my computer guy is going to open up something for you. You have the floor, Ron.
Testing. Yeah, pitamanga ni hiyo ano kasi. Osama, I have to respect this item that I'm going to present. Magang sa ating gagayasi mo after. Aya, egim skogik asiniak inawe skoitotik. Right after COVID, Egoya. In the background of that story, I was north of Frenchman Butte, back roads, manani. Tas kampayo na. Isigatyo. Ego manaya west de Pespaya, ango siso wichok. Tune pe chagas pisimo tune. Bisage weto te goyam. Tune I had a hard time go up Ataman Meskano. Tune I mean. Ego kikskate na nawene te Meskanoa, their valleys. Look, me go up Pay Anaya. Kasakotap Sinian, Utese, me go up and pay an. Tene sigated Asini. Maga, we siwa, go Westini, it's in a farmyard. It's a good up Sinian, and stump. Look, sir, and Peppa Pumpain, Tipia, or they guess the upmuck. Peppa Pumpain. Mama Scots, not to the guy. Munga geek skate and gets not dance be maga kitatoga poata kikoga seniak now is coitotic. Tonea Mugat some stay up says poata man. Magam tonea. The point now is coitotic. Ego Iteo go up magica seniak. Ego Tiamma, that farmyard, Maganete, Mamutik Sipanonete, Ego, I'm sick at the Tassiniga, keep stop a muck. Maga, Ute say east. Ema tapsika isino, a senior, Ntaneko, yes, in our scooter, check tapscoots mengan. Right up to Nanagamamutim Sigatit and Nassini. Gigo squaps and in and us and the Magewa Kapawata, that was more significant. Look, someone told some mamma tonight and a woman Gigo squate and a Pawata Gigokse Tapchik. Kitato Taya, we got chess. Ayamanaya, got the scumpayo masipi. Atamatswe painanu. Don't see man a game squab ma, I got a nisoyak, ecotaya, Igatawa, Octotipek, Sare, Ganete, a task still. Igigo squab siniano, I see pegots a hepasot. Barbed wire to Greggy. Egi tauge pai ta te ko to chek ta ki ta ko chen ne ko ki te pa su an so ko che ko mana ne ki te ka no ma ka na ya si pan egi ko sko absinian kita to ya te pego te papum pai ana ya ngo se so wichok uksamma na ya ep ma pasawap ma ka na ya si panak taga gya ko che kita to gi go pataman ne tenipi ka kyo si pa ke na o escoito chik de pik yo mi ne go e che sto absinia no ti se go ute nome ti spaian wow mo katsu me go to mak si pa ke na o escoito chik nagin
is nagyane kon taan tasepain ni toksin na ine te kon to nipon tapoe kakyoga sisi pakntane kakyo all in a line ni pik mga chak say so apa taman ka sisi pagais manaya oh wa Hugniung kêu mo mà qua bà tên nào nagin sẽ nào ấy còn ni pan bagam chi che man các kiểu người cậu bảo chích cái số bảo chích cái quoi người nó bà tên này gọi ta cậu số bảo chích ta phải install na gọi ta tan tan cái cậu số bảo chích các kiểu sinh nhật cái nào ấy squid to chích música bao chích so mamam tone te no we know tane ke kse every time I go mana ga payane mamam tone taman tane ga maga asinia ga mau sawa to the middle uktais mina in the middle ante mau sawap chik ta magi wo makino seo ge ukte tagot chik ma ne kse is mam tone taman kunta kedato kati mamam skote tamane wa ugais aya asiniak kia no umpuge wa gumaya kais asiniak munyawas ki umuma so kamam tone makmana ya munyaw kakstege chege mausagoha chege to we pina chek patote oksiga gikstege wak mu kutto kwa pate na ne te ko ne te oste et mausagop chek mina ka kene te ye kwa mak ka kyonge mausagop cheke askuito chek awina kia nonke so a little background ego ntanig wek skate in moinik skate in ego oina ka kwitsumak kapeo maniste ka no itamaso ano maya amsko pa makkoge tonsio yakutaga oyak skate am te tenego so nimese gon kwitsumao Kuskwaitam, Kawitamo, it's funny that you mentioned that, Kaisit. When we came out of university, we were tasked by the elders of the community, Kantonoa, a medicine wheel guide to it. Oh, Tapuichi, wow. My late brother, Joe Wasco, senior sao istek te giwichiwet because we step te giksnamak seteba Nimis Bernadine we step she was involved magekwa like I said we think in a box they failed to search the region they only looked in the reserve and north of our lands and I think Roseanne has some story about Asinyak Minute Natakam in Red Cross area. So with that information, I started looking for stories of the community. Matesa awiyakutagagin stoimat. Randomly, I asked a few people. I gave it to Nistas, Matesa, Ngakuchitan to the community. So I asked my friend Barry Lewis, Kaganop, but you know what? My grandpa has a story of that. The farmers, Ego ksenu winchoi sigasu. Okte egi piko tai geto egi piko namo ataski along with another person. Igi biguna kegi goataige chika to open land for the farmer. Oh, the farmer asked our members not to mention of these rocks. So, further to that, I started asking elders, Matesaya, Oinakiksketa, about these rocks. So I went to Etigan, Ginto, Gitutahao, Achimune and Tonaman. Kaya tachimut kaya sumute gine gi wiktik ne hio kaituit. Kakio mama Jumbo Hill on the east side, north side. Ute sumsise gi pe wiktik ay sino wakto. Kaya set ko patin sine manete ispat naone manete gamata ji pasketek. Jumbo Hill umsise mtane pain stona wa umseitastek ispat now. Yung tiyamanigin tawan siso tsaka isinuak ito magais yung sa papikwas tiyo muawe kui tasiga me wama kutsama muawe ka tasiga kaasa mektegin tawan siso tsaka isinuak kaito it no eugopo ko atsimon and emskaman. The other place I looked for was outside the reserve, Kutagaketeak. Eric Tatusis, Gipigis ko atamina, Mugiwaiksketam. Our local tribes, Upseas, Mauiksketam minegote. Well, we have a town called Blackfoot. Ukte gamina chimuna steo ukte gayas kasketeo site giwi kitesa na peo a Blackfoot. Ugo chukse gai siga te gamme go tene giwi kitaya ette gaya. Oyak from the Blackfoot territory. Squacho one ito go we all make it utaski chigoma achimuna ito ano right up to the river. Kaskoteoski right up to the river. Yoga Timon Taoskaman, Egokianuma Nehiok on this side of the river. Just some of the research that I have found of this area. Magaya, this is after COVID, Gamskamanum. So, Momenote Kanoeta Mania. I've shared it at a birthday party. My grandson, Kobe, I shared it. It was the first time I shared it at his birthday party. And I thought maybe I would share it with the lands department. And I shared it with Terry, his co-worker, and 2 counselors. I haven't had any movement of it from our technical department, thinking that there would be some kind of protocol or movement coming from the First Nation, and it's very significant. Every one of them rocks they were placed there for a reason. So my thought of presenting here wasn't my choosing, the mention of a museum and interpretive center by Donna. Maybe this is the best place to do it. And there needs to be some movement of this significant fine gaiton. There's a reason for everything. We need to move on it. Aski. mi chết qua pa teno ka pa muhte ka meo kam qua kia no mo ma he si chegeo no ma. This is not the only one. Awas te mane te mamuchins tamama ikachoa se ko tenge mi na kotaka ke nuksechik. Ayango se tapchik. Muma kakakyo nuksuak. It took a while kakoim squetaman kiko ayo ke maga. We need some action on this because it's significant. And when we were put on reservation, this predates reservation. It predates it prior to Onion Lake Osi Chiga te kaya teoge ki hap chigoge. So, ogo mamma no te mita go kosama ya usam genoes neganoeten. Muino te nayaten, it needs some action and proper protocol. Pames masin payhag gintop mau kete atansege sep motaman. Nki te kispin kui masin payhag poko kaga ki sumina ko tobacco ka pakitnat. Nki te gaksingito ten. That was about 2 years ago. Ego Pames one skisia. Poko nanto ka koi totama puete ko poko some kind of a claim apo museum interpretive center kaginanto to chagatik. So it may be appropriate to kamamoni chik kete or else the community matisa nanto kakoi totamio kwam mo samaya. Muy kagiete wanskisio sam. Ito ano te wanskisio me nehiaon. Ewin paim stagi tego ma ay sinio nego muy kakke kagieta kaya simuya. Ogutsika nehioan umo samaya. For every step I take, at least tobacco chairman Emiak before I presented this, because it needs the proper protocol. So, examma, ekunepogano te mita ko for your knowledge, eko kispin kui ka naap maok na katuge kay masin payhi kok. Ayapokoya, itega nakie kuisin kui wa maok park in a safe place because it's on a roadway. So, with that, thank you.
Thank you very much, Tapopogo. Round of applause. Tapo, so we've definitely taken notes. We've got the data, and you've mentioned some things, and we're aware of heritage sites that we can identify Gisno as a community. So that'll be a part of our dialogue for the team, and of course, for even with the lands department duty to consult, that's something that we can look toward. Identify the location. Of course, there's probably other sites. And we thank you for bringing this forward to us. Hi. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you for coming to our very first forum for our infrastructure community forum. We are going to have a closing prayer, but before we do that, we just want to give a whole bunch of information out. Door prizes. Okay, so because this is an ongoing thing, we just got word that we don't need a closing prayer for this event because, again, this is a first of many that's going to come. So I just want to thank everybody. Again, my name is Philip Chief. I'm Chief Operating Officer for Economic Services, as well my counterpart with Infrastructure, Chief Operating Officer Matt Harper, and also the rest of the team. I want to thank them for being here. And we want to thank you for everything and providing us your information and your points. Well taken, and so we'll be presenting that as well for leadership once we finalize the package. So without further ado, let's give away some prizes. And we're going to go real fast. Tia Fine Blanket. Tia Fine Blanket. Come on up, Tia Fine Blanket. Tia. Not here? Okay, redraw. Raylene Tatusis. Raylene Tatusis. Okay, I heard it. Did she leave? C-mate C band housing unit should, and Terrence should shave his beard. All right, that kid, that's the wrong box. That's the suggestion box. Willard Harper. Tara. Get over here. Okay, we're going to put you, and there's one prize. You could take one, two, take your pick. Next one. What's that? Donna McDonald. Take your pick. Canadian Tire gift card. Congrats, Tara. Taylor Martell. Congratulations, Home Depot card. That's only one prize, Donna, one prize. Taylor, any one of those two? That's a little speaker, waterproof. Right on. Congratulations, Taylor. The last Staples card. Jerry Wapistaguan. Did I say that right? Wapstaguan. Oh, Wapstaguan. There you go. Jerry, there you last Staples. Big ones, huh? Yeah, big ones. No, from there. Okay. Then the last two, everybody goes back. Except those, they're not here. Mary Rose Dillon. Mary Rose Dillon. Split it. Oh, okay. Don't need to come up. You can have a seat. We'll bring it to you. We'll bring it to you. She won herself a Sony headset and a mouse. And it's pink in color. Okay, next one. Did she win a prize already? Roseanne La Liberty. Did you win a prize yet? No, eh? Okay. I just keep thinking I said your name how many times today? Black Sony set. So she gets the black set with the purple flowery mouse. Now the big vac. Okay, go ahead. Matt, well, put that there. So for the shop vac, big Ivy Hool. Names back in there. Not those ones? Nope, this goes in. Mary Rose. Okay, these ones are good. Congrats. I have a hernia, so I can't really move. I just had a hernia surgery. All right, for the grand prizes. Okay. Actually, get somebody else to pick. I put my name in there. Just kidding. All right, for the 4 golf passes with 2 golf carts, so you can have a little group shindig there, and it's 18 holes, and at Lloyd Golf and Country Club. There's 2 here. So this one for the golf passes. Bonnie Mooseman. You just stay there. You just stay there. We will identify, because we have to get the passes from Fraser, so we just tell Fraser it'll be under your name. Congratulations, Bonnie. Now for the grand prize. 2 Oiler tickets. Councillor Tim, come on down. The only stipulation with him grabbing one, he has to be the second guy to go with. Ooh. Shauna R. Dillon. We don't have the tickets with us, but we have your name. So we'll come over here, we'll tell you about it. So with that, we want to thank you everybody again for coming. Appreciate all the information and all the advice. So you have yourself a safe drive home and have a good night.
Do you have an email?
Yep.
Okay, what's the email?
I'll give you my work one.
Okay.
It's Shauna with a W.
Here, you can spell it
Okay.
real fast.
Yeah.